I'm making this for people who want to get rich. And if that is not you, that is totally fine. There's no judgment. You can skip this. But this is for people who are trying to call it money max for the short period. So if you want to max, you have to min, and you have to be willing to do that for a period of time. And so I'm going to give you an argument that I think is very compelling for why you should do it sooner. And so if you want to get rich, then you should try and get rich as young as possible. And I will break down very logical reasons for why. So number one, first and foremost, one of the most underrated reasons is the math behind getting wealthy. All right, so money compounds at 3 to 4 times the rate in the beginning as it does later, meaning your increase in compounding on the excess cash you have in the earlier parts of your career will outpace the increase in earning power. And so, for example, if you have $1 extra when you're 25, it might be $90 by the time you're 70, right? Whereas if that same dollar at 35 would only be a third as much, and that same dollar at 45 would be a ninth as much, right? And so the idea is the dollars that you make, even though they may be smaller by proportion, when you allow compounding to compound, actually results in more money later. Now, my argument there is not that you must take 100% of your dollars and put it into the S&P 500. That's never been my argument. But that the dollars you do choose to put into investments of any kind at an earlier part in your career do get disproportionate returns. So that's thing one. The second thing is that your skills will also compound disproportionately that you acquire at a younger age, right? Like there's a certain amount of repetitions that are required in order for you to become good. Bill Gates was able to get those repetitions early because he started coding early, and then as a result, he was able to build software first, and then basically was able to keep this kind of sustained advantage. Like I talked to a guy yesterday, 2 days ago, Mehdi, who had $700,000 by the time he was 19, right? That saved up. That was very interesting. Now, imagine that was a 65-year-old guy. We wouldn't be as impressed, right? And so time has a very real impact on the scope or scale of your accomplishments as it relates to your reputation. Meaning, when I was younger and a millionaire early, it meant a lot more, and so you actually get more reputational gravitas, right? And so you can leverage a smaller win when you are younger for your reputation because you are younger, right? And I'll give you a secret that I only found out later, is that you basically have until you're 30 to be considered young. The moment I turned 30, I was just a white dude. Before that, I was a young white dude. Then I was just white dude, and then no one cared after that, right? So in other words, youth is a multiplier on every win that you have, whether that be press, network, mentors, capital access. I just made an investment this last week. I wrote a $500,000 check to a kid who was 18 years old, and he had just done $30 million a year in an e-commerce business and wanted to develop a tool to help e-commerce stores. So I was like, I knew he had the avatar, I knew he'd be able to do it, but the fact that he was 18 and had accomplished that made me think, okay, this guy is really sharp. Now he got into my stuff at age 15, so it took him 3 years to get there, right? But in other words, that multiplier decays around 30, right? But so you have this period of time where going all in yields higher returns even for the same outcome. Now, number 3, you leverage early success into bigger later success. So his $30 million business, now obviously everything's different in terms of what your scale of success is, right? But you can ladder on top of it. They're stepping stones. So for example, me, when I went through the beginning, it was like I was able to get in shape really early, and I was able to leverage that into personal training and online training clients, which I was able to leverage into a gym. And then from gym, I got into multiple gyms. And then from multiple gyms, I was able to start Gym Launch. And so the thing is that every part of my career has been going back and basically taking a stepping stone on what I learned from the enterprise I did before. And then obviously the sale of Gym Launch gave us our cash for acquisition.com to start the family office. And so everything builds on itself. And so if you're gonna have these steps, it's like the steps are set. It's just how soon do you want to get to this step? It's just how late you want to start, right? So next one is that I'll just rapid fire some reasons why I think it's better to get rich while you're young, which is that like you also have more energy, right? So think about it like this, like you have to play the cards you're dealt. Getting those repetitions in takes energy, and I only know this now that I'm almost 40, which is wild to say, that I have less energy than I see some 18-year-olds, right? And so like that is a clear advantage that they have. And so if you have that, then like you want to use it, right? In addition to that, you have fewer requirements, meaning there are fewer things that you must do. You probably don't have kids yet. You probably aren't, wifed up yet or husbanded up yet. You probably don't have the same level of geographic dependence. And so you are more flexible. You can go to places where learning can occur faster. You can have fewer strings attached. You can live for less, which means you can be more aggressive with the excess cash that you make to reinvest in skills or in formal investments because you understand the value of multiplying and compounding, right? And again, this geographical flexibility I think is wildly underrated. One of the things that you get the advantage of when you're younger is that, like, if you want to be in politics, go to DC. If you want to be in finance, go to New York. If you want to be in in influencer and media, go to LA, right? Those are great places to learn. Now, once you become Joe Rogan, you can move to Austin and do whatever the hell you want, right? But the thing is that when you want to get those reps, you want to go where the reps are, right? You want to go where the fish are if you're trying to fish. And what you're fishing for right now is skills and network, right? You're trying to get places, and you want to do it before you have strings tying you down and roots that you have set. And that is, again, it's a competitive advantage. It's not to say that when you're older you can't do it. It's just harder, right? And so if you believe that it's hard for you now to forego your existing path, which may have been given to you by your siblings or society or whatever, I promise you it will only get harder. And if you can't do it now, the likelihood that you're able to do it later goes down. Right? And for me, I want to stack bets where the probabilities are highest for my success. And whenever you enter a new system, by the way, this is game theory, the most adaptable player wins. So it's like survival of the fittest, right? And fittest is most adaptable. And when you are younger, you have the most adaptability. You have the most neuroplasticity, as in you can learn faster. You have the most energy, so you can do repetitions. You have the least geographical constraints, so you can move to where the action is. When you do earn, you make more dollars on each dollar you make. All the skills you acquire compound with time because you only get better at it. The accomplishments that you get from being young mean more because you are young than they do when they're old. And so the final point that I'll say is this, is that you want to model success, not the exceptions. Of course, we want to tell the story of Colonel Sanders, who started, Colonel Sanders when he's 63, and there's a bunch of, other kind of call it exception stories of people who are older and then started companies and then obviously were really successful. But like, wouldn't it be better to be the rule than the exception? Like, the richest people often got rich when they were young because they decided to, right? And I will say this because I love this quote from James Clear, but the thing that separates winners and losers is not their goals. People's goals are the same. The difference between the people who win and lose is the actions they take as a result, and the risk that they're willing to tolerate and the pain that they're willing to endure for extended periods of time with an uncertain payoff. And so if you think that you need certainty in order to move forward, I promise you that this world will never give it to you. And so it's really that there will always be uncertain, and at some point you grow the cojones, the gonads, by the way, that's bisexual or unisex. Everybody's got gonads. You will grow the gonads, or they will drop, or whatever it is. I told you I was gonna do some HR stuff. You will grow the nads you need to take the bets. And so I think what really happens is that at some point you realize that you're not gonna die if you fail. You will just learn and you will get better, which is the point of the process. And you will never finish and you will never actually win, because by the time you win, you will have already planted a much bigger goal that you want, because the goal that you had came in shooting distance. And the easiest analogy I can say for this is this. When I wanted to, bench 315, for example, I was a dream of mine when I was in high school, right? Because I remember that just one big plate was wow, the strong kids could do a full plate, right? And then 2 plates was like super strong. 3 plates was crazy. By the time I benched 315, I knew I was going to hit 315 because I had done 275 for 5, and I did 295 for a triple or a set of 5, and so 315 seemed obvious. Right? And so the thing is that by the time you accomplish goals, the goals themselves seem less meaningful because you already did the work to make that goal reasonable, which is why you achieved it, which is why you have to do so much work that is unreasonable that you do not become successful. And the best way to do that is to start when you're younger for all the reasons I just gave. All right. That's why you should succeed while you're young. That's why you should ignore the people who are telling you, who don't have what you want, telling you how to get something that they've never gotten. All right. Feeling spicy this morning on this Friday, Flex Fridays. Was that fun? Was that fun for you guys? Okay, so I'm gonna do a little Q's and A's, and then we're gonna do some chat, and we're gonna do some Q's and A's, and it'll be fun. All right, let's go. Caller 1, Ian Cunningham. What it do, bugaboo? Let's go. If you can unmute Ian, that'd be super swell. Ian, what's up, dude? And you just mute me in the background.
All right.
So we just go on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just mute me in the background.
You can unmute. Yeah, that would be super. Can you hear me, Alex?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can hear me too. So just
I got spicy in the background. Right.
Yeah.
So we just go on Zoom.
Mute me
Hold
on the live stream.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, I got spicy Alex this morning.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's rock.
Can
All
you
right.
hear me all right?
Why are you not making more money?
I'm not hearing you on Zoom.
That's why I'm not making more money. All right, let's see. I'm muted. There we go. Okay,
Hey,
Ian.
Alex.
What's up, dude?
Spicy Alex. What's going on, man? My name is Ian.
Go for
I
it.
run contractor independence. We do search optimization and review generation for roofing businesses.
Okay.
We've been in business for 8 years. We've gotten up to 8 mil in revenue. We have aspirations to get up to 30 mil a year, but we have some big problems happening this year in 2026. So this year in 2026, we backtracked. We're actually on track for 5 mil this year.
Okay.
So everything that we've built over the past number of years has been built on direct response offers over cold meta ads, basically meta ads to cold audiences. And lots of company strategy, but if I had to narrow it down, we were really just trying to keep CPL low, like get better and better at ads while driving retention up, getting better and better at the product. But over the last 18 months, our CPL has 6x.
As in your CPL to get your customers or CPL to get their customers?
Yeah, to get our customers.
Okay, got it.
Right, because CPL to get our customers has 6x, despite trying to adapt to Andromeda, et cetera. And that's obviously, it's strained and kind of broken the business model. We've recently turned ads off, and we don't have new clients coming in, so obviously you're going to begin descending, right? You're going to begin churning. Just wrapping this up, like, my view on the biggest mistakes that we've made is, like, we just kept doubling down on direct response instead of investing in long-term, like, brand and organic and trust signals. And we also, it was one offer to one channel, which is great for a while, but we should have built a better money model, right? Like a better lead magnet, a better front end. And so this is the place that I'm in right now, as I'm trying to rectify those mistakes. Okay.
Heard. I think you've identified a lot of core issues. Yes, building a brand would have been nice. Yes, building a second channel would have been nice. What's churn for your existing customers monthly?
So monthly churn is about 10%.
Okay, and what's price point?
Price point is averaging $3,700 a month.
Okay, so 37K is lifetime revenue, and what are gross margins?
Gross margins are about 72%.
Okay, so call it 27,000, something like that, is what you're making in gross profit per customer.
That's right.
Okay, so what are you paying right now to acquire a customer, or what were you paying?
We were paying, towards the end, it got out of control. We were paying towards 10,000, which is why we had to end up turning it off.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like some of the issues was a cash flow constraint, because even if you paid 10 to make 27, it's not bad. Obviously, you want it to be better than that, because basically your conversion cycle is too slow. But like, I wonder if it got shut off preemptively because of, like, call it a slew of bad creative and maybe a pixel getting trained on the wrong audience for a short period, which makes it really difficult to get out of, and it becomes this like death cycle.
I'm pretty confident on the tech. Like, we've gone really deep on the tech. I'm also confident on the creative because we've adapted a lot. Like, I've been to ACQ marketing workshop. Like, we've adopted all this stuff. We're doing 15 diverse creatives a week.
Yeah.
As much as the account can handle.
Yeah.
And my take on it is actually, the CPMs went up 3x over 12 months.
Okay.
So just the cost to get in front of people. And then the second piece is, I think the home services space, I think trust has become the currency.
Yeah.
Because so many, they've either found successful marketing and they've stuck with that, or if they haven't, they've been burned 5 times over and they're just like very untrusting in this space. And I think that we haven't done a good enough job. Like, we have great reviews, right? We have 5 stars, 130 reviews on Google, but I have no personal brand. I'm not pre-educating them.
I hear you.
We've just been running cold.
Well, let me just ask you this, because I just want to zoom out for a second.
Sure.
What do you want? Like, what do you want to have happen?
I want to have a world-class product that I'm incredibly proud of, and I want, for every customer that I get, I would love to get to the point where that creates another customer.
Yeah.
Like the referral flywheel.
So the really difficult part with the business you're in, and you've consumed, I think, enough of my stuff to know what I'm going to say here, which is that the call it this the SMB, lead gen agency is a very, very tough business. It's like the restaurant of digital marketing. It's very easy to get started, very hard to scale, and the main issue is the avatar. Their volatility becomes your volatility. It's just like it's near impossible to scale a business with 10% churn.
Yeah.
Because you have to basically, in order to scale the business, the only thing that actually scales is your sales motion. Because if you lose 70% of your customers every year, which 10% churn does that, right?
Right.
Then your entire revenue on an annual basis minus 30% is what you sold that year, right?
That is definitely a core issue. I agree with you. We can't get
Right.
to our goal on 10% churn.
Right. And so, but what I'm trying to hit on here is that like, it's like having an agency is a great way to make $3 million a year with 20 or 30% margins. It's very, very difficult to scale because churn becomes this monster issue. And the thing is that it's an avatar problem more than a product problem.
Right.
And so I've said this before, but I've only seen two marketing, like true turnkey marketing offers scale that are done for you. And I'll say with the exception of one thing, which is like you can keep all the things that you said and then just build a brand that's gigantic. Like if you had Neil Patel's brand in SEO,
Right.
you could scale, right? But he's also been doing it for 15 years and, et cetera, et cetera. But the other two angles are like you go purely AI automated, very low cost because then you can cut churn down. But you have to do it so it's high gross margins but low price, right? Or you have to go up market, which you have to earn the right to do that, which you kind of have to slog your way through what you're doing right now to eventually get to the better customers or the multi-location owners.
Right. Right.
Now, I think that, is there a sub-cohort of your customers that are more valuable and churn less than the existing customers?
I'm absolutely sure there is. I need to get better on the data.
Yeah.
I mean, we've narrowed down over time, right? We're basically going for 2 mil and above roofers at this point. We used to be generalist and
Yeah.
home services. So we have narrowed down, but we can go further.
Yeah, I think that you would probably, like, it might be worth looking at, like, roofers in at least 3 markets. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because they're just going to have a different time horizon in terms of returns. And SEO is one of those things that just needs time in order to work. When does churn happen for you guys? Because you might be at 10% monthly churn, but if you look at it by a cohort basis, I'm sure you have you call it 2.5 million of the 5 that you have left right now has been with you for over a year, something like that. That's my guess. Is that true or is that wrong?
Say the question one more time.
Call it 2 or 2.5 million of the 5 that you have has been with you for a long time.
Yeah, I would say between 1 and 2 years for
Yeah.
sure.
Right, and so basically you've stacked up the people who 2 years ago were in that 30%, and once you get them to month 6, the likelihood that they stay goes up by a lot. And we've just seen that across all services, independent, not just marketing, just like all services. If you get someone to month 6, churn typically drops to below 2%, which is wild. But when you look at blended, which is what you're looking at with 10%, it feels like, so basically the objective has to become, how do we get them to month 6, which is a much more solvable issue than how do I cut churn from 10% lower. Is that like tactically? Okay. And so if I were to do that, I think that the CPL going up, I care less about. I just care about LTV to CAC.
Right.
So like that matters very little to me. In fact, one of the highest ROI campaigns I ever ran at Gym Launch, I had the highest CPL of all time.
Right.
So just something to consider. And so I think that the algorithm has gotten so good at pulling who you want that you can be even more selective than ever now. So that's a good thing. Because I'm trying to get you out of your current situation because I could say, yeah, go build a brand. It's like, yeah, you should have done that 2 years ago. You can't do that right tomorrow. So what are we going to do, right? So I've call it my 3-step fast cash, and then I would still want to deploy this into marketing on the ad side because I don't think you're done there, dude. That's the thing. Is like I don't think it's done. I think we can still market where other people aren't, which is being more selective and going up market. And so I think roofers with at least three locations or something like that might be a better start. Look at the people who've been with you for 2 years, see what they have in common, make that the messaging in the avatar. if you need to do a lead magnet or something like that, you can. The lead magnet is not really going to be the thing. I'm just being real. Like, lead magnet really just serves as just a different hook on the front end so that you can refresh and when you have a smaller market, more so than like, oh, the lead magnet is why people are buying. Now, if you're able to get mass distribution like my book or something, then it can serve a different purpose. But by and large, the lead magnet is not like the thing. You want it to be good, obviously, but like if you want to turn a large percentage of the audience warm, you have to do that with the least amount of friction, which is what content is. Like, content is the lead magnet. It's just free. Right? So I think that short-term steps are, number one, I would go past customers win back campaign, number one. Number two, if you are cash constrained, you could get some people to pre-buy future services and give them a deal. Number three, do some sort of attraction offer from money models to the leads list, kind of like the countdown in the campaign, maybe a giveaway, that would pull some cash forward. With that additional cash, I would, step two, reimagine the avatar from the messaging and the funnel perspective, and I would call out what you don't want, which is like, if you want somebody who's gonna get you leads in 3 months, this is not the thing for you. Like, SEO takes a minute. But let me show you what my 1 year laters look like. So my campaign would be, and this was the highest ROI campaign I ever ran at Gym Launch, was a 1 year later campaign. And so you have those customers right now. I would capture what their lead flow was before and what their lead flow is now. And it automatically frames, like whenever you talk in 1 year and 2 year increments, you're gonna get a far better customer, but the cost per lead will be higher. So what we just care about is LTV to CAC more so than CAC. Now, you're not gonna know LTV, but if we have leading indicators that this is the type of people who stay twice as long, 3 times as long, willing to pay more, then at least gets us on the right track.
Right. That
so
makes sense, man.
That would be my 1, 2, 3. If I had an item 4, because you're trying to kill yourself, I would try and post as much content as I possibly could, obviously. But I'm trying to get you out of the current situation that you're in right now. If you want to build something that is world-class in terms of product, you're going to end up having to go up market or down market. It seems like you're probably better situated, given you have a service business right now, to go up market and just niche down and up.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, Ian.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, just so you know, man, everyone's been through this. Like, it sucks, but like, you're not gonna die. And the worst case scenario is that you have a bunch of money that you've probably saved up from the years that you were doing well, and you could just start something new knowing everything that you know right now. That is the true worst case scenario, which isn't that bad.
Really good perspective. Thank you, Alex.
You bet, man. Appreciate you. All right, let's go le chat. That's French for chat, by the way, for those guys who don't speak French. Let's see here. Do we have preguntas? Okay. Will you try to scale a business in an industry vulnerable to AI? As a software engineer, I don't want to bitch about how difficult it is to scale my business. On the other hand, I can't ignore the market trend. It's a tough one, man. You could make the argument that on a long enough time horizon, all businesses will be vulnerable to AI. What I would caution you against is not solving the problems you have today for fear of tomorrow. Because I heard this this quote, which I think is like one of the #1 School of Hard Knocks quotes of all time, which I heard it and I liked it. But they asked the CEO of Goodyear, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten? And he said, a bird doesn't land on a branch because he trusts the branch, he trusts his wings. And so what that means is like, if you go do this thing that is vulnerable to AI and you're afraid to start, it's being afraid of walking out on the branch. But you can't be afraid of the branch. You have to be confident that you'll be able to figure it out. Because whatever market forces you're going to come in contact with, you have to remember that every other person is going to come in contact with it. And if you figured out things before in the past, you'll be able to figure out things again in the future. And the problems aren't going to go away, they're just going to change. All right, a next pregunta. All right, you say the fastest way to make 100K is different to $1 million, the fastest way to 10 million is different than 1 million. How can you explain on that? Yeah, so it's actually, the example that we just had with Ian is a perfect example. Like, it's not that difficult to make an agency that does $1 million a year. And the main reason for that is because you just need to sell a certain amount of customers in order to do that. And there's a lot of, quote, SMBs who will pay $2,500 to $3,500 a month or $1,500 to $3,500 a month to get lead gen services. The problem is that churn in that business is very high. And when you have high churn at scale, it does not work. And so basically, the potential of a business is directly correlated with revenue retention. All right, which means how much does last year's revenue affect this year's revenue? And so the common scenario, which is the worst scenario, is everything that I sold last year, I have almost no credit for it this year, which means that every year if you want to grow, you basically just have to increase acquisition, meaning you have to sell more people to grow. The second scenario is that, and this is a much better scenario, right, is that you keep the revenue from last year. Now that's an amazing scenario, way better. So you sold $100,000 last year, and then this year you already have $100,000 as your base day one, and then you could sell $100,000 this year, and now you have $200,000, right? So it keeps stacking. The best scenario is something called net negative churn, which is where the revenue that you have is over 100% retention. Now, to be clear, you cannot have over 100% logo retention, meaning you can't keep more than 100% of customers. If you sell 100 customers, at the end of the year, the most you could have is 100 customers. So logo retention is always going to be 100% or less, right? But revenue retention can go up, which means that you need to have a model that allows for customers who are good to spend more money with you. So that means that if I started with 100 and I end with 90, but the 90 that are there have, let's say in total, spent 50% more than they did before, I might now be at 145, no, that'd be, 135 on my revenue compared to the 100 that I had at the beginning, even though I have fewer people. And so there's kind of like 3 different scenarios in terms of what you get credit for in the future. And so what happens is once you find a vehicle that has high revenue retention, then it's just a matter of time because you literally grow by default. And so as long as you keep selling customers, you will keep growing. And this is the state where you want to be in. And I spent a very long part of my career pursuing businesses that did not have high revenue retention. Now, typically high revenue retention businesses have high revenue retention because they are slower on the front end. It is harder to get people in, which is why it is harder for them to leave. And so it is actually a function of patience, which is why patience is more of a personality trait than it is a tactic in business, but is absolutely required based on the opportunity vehicle selection that you do day one. And so at some point you decide that you want to get into a stickier vehicle, and then when you do that, you can unlock the level. If you wanted to make $1 million a year, the fastest way to do it is just go sell something to a lot of people, and you can do it one time. But the difficulty is that you're gonna have to keep selling people, and when you wanna make $100 million a year, building the sales infrastructure to sell $100 million of revenue every single year when you have 0 from the year before is incredibly risky because it means that every single month you basically are only as good as your last month, which means payroll, rent, all the bets you wanna make, like you can't forecast out any horizon. If you know that in the future, this money that you just sold last year is still going to come in, you can take bigger bets, you can make bigger investments, you can do a brand move. These are all things that having revenue retention affords you. And that is the difference between building a $1 million business versus a $10 or $100 million business. Okay. Let's see. Next pregunta, and then and then we'll get to the next Q&A. How do I deal with myself, or how do you deal with yourself when you don't feel like doing anything, like no drive to achieve anything? Can you teach somebody ambition? Ambition is a very vague word, but I think what we're really going for is like, can you create a condition that increases motivation? And I think the answer to that is absolutely. And so I like to use this very extreme example of like, if I wanted to motivate people to take off all their clothes, what I would do is I would lock the doors to wherever they were, and then I would continue to crank up the heat and I would remove water. And when you do that, eventually people would disrobe because it's so hot, right? And so you just do that long enough and eventually you will motivate the behavior that you want. And so if you want to motivate yourself, you need to create the conditions where motivation happen, which means you have to make the right choice, the easiest choice of the choices available to you. And so breaking that down is, okay, are the people that I surround myself with people that are taking the actions that I want? Are the things that I have in my physical environment the things that are conducive to taking the actions that I want? Like if I have a Netflix subscription, if I know that I have a tendency to watch that, then I will cancel the subscription, right? If I have apps on my phone that tend to distract me, I'll invest in, one of the many products that make it more difficult to get in apps that distract, right? Because if it's not that you lack focus, it's that you are focusing on the wrong things, because focus is always present. We're literally always focusing on something. It's just that you need to remove everything else besides the thing you need to do, so that the only thing you have to do is the only thing you can do, right? Jerry Seinfeld was famous for writing his jokes for 2 hours every single day. And the way that he did it was that he has a room that has nothing in it and a desk and a yellow pad. And he gave himself the rule that he doesn't have to write, but he can't do anything else. right? And so it's by removing distractions. If you're in a room that's all white with nothing and a black dot, the most interesting thing in that room is the black dot. And so you need to make work the most interesting thing in your environment. And ideally, surround yourself with people who are doing better than you, who reinforce work-related activity. I thought that was a pretty thorough answer. All right, let's do pregunta número dos. David, let's do this.
Hey Alex, I'm David. I run an ERP consulting firm. I'm on track for 1.9 this year, and I'm trying to get to 5 million. And basically what's stopping me is that I'm the chief cook and bottle washer key man.
Got it. Is it that you can't get more customers, or that you are the one who's involved in the delivery of the customers?
Customer acquisition is pretty easy right now. It's all affiliate and client referrals.
So you're delivery constrained functionally, like you are the one who's required to do the stuff more. Okay, got it. Question is, shift one, can you shift from doer to architect?
It's in progress. I do have one other doer I have 8 people total. I have one other doer who is very self-sufficient and would be the other half of the key man equation here. But really, I do everything else. So he does over half of the delivery, I would say, but then I'm the key man on the entire rest of the business as well.
Yeah, so I'll say 2 things that I think will be relevant. Like, we do this with everyone, and it sounds boring, but it's super effective, and it's not going to take you more time, which is to just do a time study and look at where you're spending your time. Now, it's going to fall in a couple buckets, and the biggest one that I think people don't pay enough attention to is problems that aren't actually worth solving. So Napoleon had this problem-solving method that I actually just recently read about, which was very confirming for how I like to solve problems, so I'll share it with you, which is that he would not open letters from his generals for 3 weeks because he wanted to let some problems resolve themselves so he wouldn't have to put any effort into it. And so I'll bet you there are some problems that you're solving right now that are not the constraint of the business, but you are still solving them. So that's thing one in terms of buckets of things that we can eliminate. The second thing is, okay, of these other activities, what's the margin on the 1 is it 1.9?
Yeah, 1.9, 50% gross, 30% net.
Okay, so you have the cash flow to be able to hire out, call it another person at $150,000 a year, and it's not going to sink the business. Right, and so I'll bet that if between elimination and delegation, you can probably get more than half of your time back just from those 2 things. But I would encourage you to say that, one, I wouldn't obsess too much about Keyman. You're not big enough for it to matter right now. Any small business has Keyman risk, below 10 million. It's just what it is. It's painful, but it is just reality. And so don't obsess over that. And then in the things that are coming up, it's like, it feels as though the fires are sporadic, but it is just because we have not measured them over a long enough time horizon. And so it feels like these problems pop up, but they really pop up once a month. We just don't know what day they pop up on, but on a monthly basis, the thing has to happen. And so basically, the longer you do the time study on, the more you're going to be able to codify the activities that you're doing, which will then allow you to delegate them or eliminate them.
Which is a variation of what I'm already doing, because
Right.
my main product is actually spotting problems in my client systems and raising them before they see them.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the same work. I just have to look inward and outward at the same time.
Well then, I mean, fundamentally, if you feel like a solution is in flight, is it just that you are upset that it is not happening as fast as you want?
Not even upset.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm not being naive to the fact that like I can't fix everything, and there's plenty of people that are way smarter than me.
Yeah.
So should I be getting those people on the bus sooner rather than later?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're going to take risk in terms of cash flow that you're betting. Some of these people are not going to work out, and that's just going to be a cost of doing business. The faster you get your pattern recognition, the faster you're going to be able to scale the company. If you think about, this is an easy frame for it to consider. If you were to start over tomorrow from zero, the bets that you'd be willing to make at zero to get to where you're at now, you probably make without thinking because you're not that worried about it, right?
Right.
And so there's a $10 million version of you as an entrepreneur who considers the bets that you have to make right now the same way. You just haven't made them yet.
Okay, that makes sense.
So TLDR, time study, backfill, be willing to make the bets on the people that you have to, accept the fact that you're not going to get it right, overemphasize onboarding and training, And this is the nature of a service business, is that you have to, people are cogs in the machine, automate as much as you can, which you probably already are. And this is just the nature of the game. And I don't think you're doing anything wrong. It's just like, this is the part that sucks.
So I have an offer question as well. So previously I was just selling general consulting. I've worked my butt off on the last 18 months since I got your book.
Yeah.
And I've got an offer now that's kind of a 3-part onboarding, expansion, and ongoing continuity. What I tried to do, and it failed 3 times in a row, is go from what previously was working 90% of the time. So 90% of the time, if I did like a $30,000 assessment at the beginning of the project, I would always win a larger multi-6-figure deal.
Okay.
I've tried to jump straight to the 6-figure deal.
Okay.
And I've struck out 3 times in a row. And so I know it's not a lot of context, but does it just make sense to kind of go back, put the assessment back in as a stepping stone, knowing that most of the time I'm going to win the big money anyway?
Yeah. I mean, it's part of your sales motion.
Yeah, I just tried to take out a step, basically.
No, I hear you. But I mean, if you know that you're winning 90%, then you can just basically approximate the value of a 30K deal is 0.9 times the, whatever, 200K or whatever your average order value is. So it's 30 plus, call it 180. So every one of these 30Ks that you're selling is actually worth 210. And then you can just basically factor all your marketing knowing that math.
Got it.
Which feels worth
Perfect.
it. Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, sir. See you soon.
All right, later, brother. Okay. Hi, Alex. This is El Chato, which is Spanish for chat. That's right. We got Jazzy Jazz with the jazz fingers and jazz hands telling me real-time translations that El Chato, did I say that correctly? El Chato. Okay, there we go. Not to be confused with gato, which is cat. Quite different. Meow. Anyways, so hi Alex. How do I find a suitable passion? I try content creation, AI apps, and so much stuff, but I really don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm still hanging in there the hard way. Okay. Yeah, shit sucks when you suck, and the only way to not suck is to do it while you suck, so you suck less. And then eventually when you suck less, you tend to like things that you're good at. I've made multiple videos on the misconception around passion and how it is a fallacy overall. But like, shit's going to suck. Like, it is not going to be fun, and failing and getting rejected and trying to do something that doesn't work over and over again is not enjoyable, but it is the period of time that you have to go through in order to get to where you want to go. And so you fundamentally have to want to get to where you want to go more than you fear or tolerate the pain of suffering the failures on your way there, right? And so I do love the saying that I think I invented, but failure and success are on the same road. It's just that failure is an earlier exit. All right. But I think that what you need to do is you need to pick and commit. 2 things. You need to pick and commit. And commit means the elimination of alternatives, which means you need to let all the other ideas that you have go away until you've seen this all the way through. And so I would write myself a goal that feels unreasonable, that if I did it, I wouldn't succeed. And say, okay, so if I made 1,000 pieces of content and I had feedback between each 1,000, so not just cranking out 1,000 pieces of slop, I'm saying manually did 1,000 pieces of content and got better from each one of them. Do I think I'd be good at making content? Probably. If I made, an app and I spent 2,000 hours on the app myself, do I think that with feedback from customers or people that I gave away for free, that I could make the app good or useful? Probably, right? And so the reason I like the unreasonable goals is because it actually gives you something to control. Right? Like, I want to get in shape. Okay, work out 100 times and make sure that every workout you add weight or reps to the exercises you did. And you don't have to put a lot on, just make sure you make progress. So if you did 10 pounds, do 11. And you're like, how? They don't even have 11-pound dumbbells. Yeah, they have magnets. You can stick it on. I used them for a lot of my earlier part of my lifting career. So the point is like, talk in increments. Instead of saying, I want to do this in this many weeks, talk in work span, right? It's 100 workouts, right? Do 100 workouts. Do 2,000 hours. And so like when I make a project, like the books that I have, like I put 2,000 hours into the books, and you can see it, right? A lot of time goes into that, and it's only one book. Now, how fast can I write a book? A hell of a lot faster than 2,000 pages. It's just not going to be as good. And a lot of the good is removing the stuff that sucks. And a lot of the stuff you make sucks, which means you got to delete hit delete over and over again on things that you thought were good but aren't. And so I think you have to accept the fact that it is not going to be fun, and that is the period that you have to get through, and that is how you earn the right to become successful. And I think one of my favorite tweets of my own, the old self quote. Nice. Greatness rejects all first-time applicants. And you are a first-time applicant, so it is not surprising that you've been rejected. Okay, brother, you say you need to pick the right opportunity vehicle because other vehicles get you further in the same amount of time. How do I know the opportunity I have is the right vehicle? Well, you start. And once you start, you'll get perspective that you could only get from starting, right? Because you get perspective from feedback, and you get feedback from taking action. You do not get feedback from contemplating, right? You do not get feedback from weighing options. You get feedback from taking action on a path that you begin to walk down, right? The future is foggy. You will only be able to see a couple steps ahead of you. And as you continue to walk, the next steps will become clear. But I think that there's this overemphasis on this perfect pick, the fallacy of the perfect pick, that you're somehow going to get your pick so right that everything's going to come true. And I promise you, even if you had the best vehicle in the world, even if you wanted to do OpenAI and start it in 2017 and then suffer for years before it actually was a product, even then it will suck and you won't be sure, right? And so I think there's this big misconception that somehow you're going to know steps A to Z when you start, and you will not. And so you will learn step B when you do step A, and then maybe you get to step D and see that now that you've learned something, there is a superior path. Maybe, but I will say this, which is that almost all paths, when taken to the natural extreme, accomplish most people's financial goals. And so whether you want to be rich from restaurants, or you be rich from apps, or from whatever you want, like, I had a question the other day that was like, what business can I get to $100,000 a month in profit? And the answer was basically every business can get to $100,000 a month in profit. And then people in other countries were like, no, that's only in the US. And it's like, you literally are missing the fucking point. Every model, when expanded enough, can hit $100,000 a month in profit, period. Now, it might not be the one location. If you're brick and mortar, it could be multiple locations, right? It might not be, one customer. It might be multiple customers. But the thing is that a scaled version of the thing, just about any business, I've yet to encounter one that cannot hit $100,000 a month in profit. The only way, conceivably, that you could have a business that it would be impossible to hit $100,000 a month in profit, which, let's say the vast majority of people, if they did that, they'd be pretty stoked. The only way that you make that impossible is if there's literally not enough people who are willing to buy your thing. And there's a lot of people. So yeah, a lot of businesses can do it. Okay, let's go Go Gadget. Next Q. Next caller. Jazz hands. Jazz hands, we're going.
Hey, Alex, you here?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Hey, man, I'm James. It's a pleasure to meet you. I started Harbin Home Outfitters here in Alabama. We help the elderly age in place through home accessibility modifications. We did $500,000 last year with 40% margins, and we're having a tough year this year, only at $150,000 with 58% margins. I want to get to $1 million a year within 6 months. We have 20-to-1 LTV to CAC, and I believe a constraint within my control is lead gen, specifically with baby boomers. So how do I get Southern baby boomers to want to buy a ramp, place a grab bar for themselves or their parents?
Who are you predominantly selling to, the kids or the parents?
The kids most of the time. I'd say 85% of the time.
Got it. How are you doing lead gen right now?
Mostly referrals. I'm a nurse by trade as well as a medical social worker, so I'm able just to walk into hospitals with my scrubs on, and that gets me through any doors in the hospital. I'd say that's 90% of it.
That's like a man with a cone and a neon vest and a clipboard can get into anywhere.
You're dang right.
Yeah, and man with scrubs can get into any hospital setting. That is so okay. Here's the good news. Well, your LTV to CAC, those numbers are kind of off because basically your CAC is your time. So I don't know how much we created so we could put to that. But what do you make per, call it, unit sold?
Yeah. So we're $6,000 average ticket. We have 30% close rate, and I'm only getting around 10 leads a month incoming. So.
And that's all from referrals and call it door knocking fundamentally.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 90%. Yeah, that's correct.
So I would say you have two options that you could pick from that you're already like very, very equipped for. You could do Google PPC, which is just like basically keywords and looking for people who are looking for ramps, which is option one. I'll bet though that if you bid there, there's probably already some players, and you'd have to have a more sophisticated sales motion. Otherwise, you're going to waste money. Waste money that like you'll get leads, but it'll cost you more than you're able to afford right now. The other option, which I think is probably more likely to work because you have a very visual service, is showing before and afters. I mean, you've seen these ads, right? And if you're targeting the kids, it's like, did your parent recently have a fall, right? Which is super common. It's like, and did you know that 90% of falls are preventable by just by outfitting the home environment, and it extends how long they can live in their home by another 10 years. So parents are happy and kids are happy. Like to me, that would be my hook and my angle for my ads, and then the creative itself would just be before and after on the homes that you're doing the outfitting to, and you'll probably be able to get leads from there. And I'm sure, do you have like financing or insurance, something that covers it?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, dude. Like, oh, bro. Like, if you could say that, it's like, and we, insurance covers X, Y, and Z. I think this is just a pure. You could probably have the simplest funnel in the world, which is just run a lead ad, and then call the leads up, have the thank you page, the lead ad redirect to a VSL, so video sales letter, and then with a call now button underneath of the video, and that's probably all you'd need. And you just got to work the shit out of the leads. Like that's really like this is super 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 simple. Like you have like if you just do this and ignore, like do nothing else. I'm just telling you, do nothing else.
Yeah.
Run meta ads. Use the angle that it's free. Use the angle that a lot of falls are avoidable. I'm sure you can find the stats on that, right? Use the stat that parents are happy because it pushes them out going to a home for another 10 years, right? They want to be in their own home. That way the kids don't feel guilty about it, and that it's free, right? Like those, like there's a ton of media angles.
Spoke right there. It is not free. The ramps, the grab bars, 95% of the time, they're paid for. They used to be free, but we had a lot of budget cuts in Alabama which covered those. Yeah. So now I'm having to charge for them, which kind of sucks. That's the decrease in revenue part.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Got it.
It doesn't matter. And if like two options there, one is you can just not say it's free and then just collect leads like normal. The other option is that it's free and then you just find out if their insurance covers it, and if it does, you do the sale. If it's not, whatever.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
But do nothing else. Yep. I'm just telling you right now. Do nothing else. Like you can get an ad live. Do you have any creative on before and afters of like outfits, like it being outfitted and whatnot?
I've got tons. Hundreds.
Okay. So like
100.
Today, write your first 5 variations of the ad copy and put 5 variations or 10 variations of the creative, and then run it in a 20-mile radius. Drop a pin on the map of where you're at in Alabama.
Yeah.
And then just do a lead form. Keep it really simple. I don't even like. We could have a video on the after page, but I'd rather you just get live and start getting leads to be like, holy shit, this actually works. And you can have AI walk you through the setup. It's not hard.
Heck yeah, man. I appreciate the time. That helps a ton. Thank
you. Bet. Appreciate you, man.
Man.
Cool business, though. Very cool business. By the way, for everybody who's listening to this, there's so many ways to make money. Who here walked in being like, you know what? I could outfit houses with ramps for old folks, right? There's so many ways to make money. By the way, growing market, lots of pain. They've got the money. It does check the offer boxes. All right. Question from El Gato, from the cat in Spanish. So, hey Alex, I run a business where we train team/businesses how to use AI. Not done for you. How do I hire trainers without them taking our training resources and SOPs to start their businesses? Dude, just use AI. Like I think what you're dealing with is like, that's basically like saying, how does any business that educates anyone hire anyone without those people taking your stuff? This is the nature of competition. The thing is that there are more components to a business, which you already know, than just delivering the materials. You have to generate leads, you have to close sales, you have to price. There's a lot of other pieces that make the business work, right? If you want to make it less likely, you can switch from a one-on-one to a one-to-many model, and you can rotate who's doing the instructions, and you can make it a kind of call it like a 4-phase approach. So imagine you've got somebody who teaches phase 1, somebody teaches phase 2, somebody teaches phase 3. That way you keep some of the keys in the castle in your own pocket, and you're kind of siloing the information by design. That would be something if you were really anal or worried about it. I would only do that if it actually served the business model and it was a material problem rather than a fear. So basically, is this actually happening, or is this something, are you trying to solve a problem that hasn't happened yet? If it hasn't happened yet, let's make sure it happens, then we can solve it. All right, I recently quit my job to go full-time into starting a business, but I am not sure what business to start. I feel stuck in this analysis paralysis. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to give you actually very tactical answer here. Instead of just saying, well, obviously, dude, just pick one. You need to put limitations. All right, you need to add constraints. So if I said pick from everything in the world, it's very hard to make that. Right? If I give you 25 different jams to pick from, it's hard to pick your favorite jam. If I give you 2, much easier. Right? And so what you need to do is give yourself constraints on the question. This goes for everybody. So instead of saying, what business should I start? Say, what are the requirements that I have for this business? Do I want to be in person? Do I want to be remote? Do I want this to sell to businesses? Do I want to sell to consumers? Do I want to do phone sales, or do I want to do a checkout-based system? Do I want to get customers from ads, or do I want to do it from door knocking, right? Like each of these things is going to narrow down the types of business that will be available to you. Do I want a business that I'm going to have to put capital in to start? Do I want one that doesn't require capital? Do I want to have a business that uses a lot of employees that's going to be service-based? Do I want it to be technology-based or product-based, right? Each of those are decisions that you can make. And if you're like, well, which one? I promise you, all of those can grow into big businesses, and it does depend on your goals. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that you want to make $100,000 a month in profit. All of those paths can lead you there, right? And so if you follow my stuff, I would encourage you to sell fewer things at a more expensive price tag to fewer people, because it takes fewer customers to make the amount of money that you want to make to solve your current life problems. But the answer to your question is that you have to add constraints to your question in order to answer it. One more, and then we'll do the next one. Okay, so if sales was your main constraint in business and you need to learn it from zero, what would you do? You want to get as many reps as you can. And so, I mean, this is one of the advantages of working at a business before you go out, because you basically get to learn on a business's dime, which I'm a big advocate of. I'm gonna guess that you're not learning it from zero, because like you said, sales is your main constraint, but you need to learn it from zero, which means you've never made sales before, which means you don't have a business. And so if you don't have a business, then you could start on a call floor anywhere or on a door knocking team and learn from there and get paid to do it. So that's option one, which I'm a big advocate of. Option two is you basically got to go out, and my encouragement would be to sell people for free. And so in the leads book, I talk about getting your first 5 customers. Follow that playbook of get your first 5 customers for free, because it's still a sale. It's just a much easier sale, because you're still going to get them to risk their time, sometimes their money, in order to get some sort of deliverable service from you. And then from there, you'll be able to learn from those conversations to then eventually start charging money. But some people, I would say the poor people in the comments will say, never give away your service for free because it'll devalue you. As they say, being poor. You get more from giving away your stuff for free than they get for getting it for free, because you will get feedback and you will get learnings and you will get lessons, and you probably do suck, which is why you probably shouldn't charge, and you should be very willing to give away your stuff for free, because you should not be valuing your time because it is not valuable. The market has already determined it's not valuable. People are not knocking on your door. It is valuable when the market determines it is valuable, which means when demand surpasses supply. And the easiest way to do that is to decrease price. And so when we decrease price, we can increase our demand, and then over time, as we get better and better, demand will go up, and then price can rise naturally with the market. And it's the beauty of a marketplace. I think that's a very elegant answer. Very good. All right, let's do next Q to the A. Perhaps an A, definitely a Q. All right, what do we got, Mr. Gong?
Byron, you're up.
Byron, let's do it.
Hey, Alex. Man, this is exciting. Thanks so much to you and Layla for what you do. I run a disability support provider in Australia. It's government-funded scheme, price capped, high compliance requirements, can't bill in advance. Last year, we did $1.5 million in revenue, gross margins at 30%. This year, scaling back to focus on target audience because I was just accepting money from everyone and it was a nightmare. So we're aiming to do about $1 million this year.
Okay.
Currently, though, breaking even due to debts from stupidly starting another adjacent business, manpower shortage. My goal, though, is to productize my service to distinguish myself from the commoditized industry, then work to sell the business and go into something that isn't price capped. My question is, what would revenue, net margin, and the org chart need to look like in order to sell it, and is it worth it?
Yeah, so from a sellability perspective, I mean, you could sell any business. The question is, who do you want to sell it to and at what kind of price or multiple? So you kind of have to reverse from the goal. Like, I could buy your business today for $0, just to put it in hypothetical extreme. So what, more specifically, what kind of outcome do you want?
Yeah, so I'd love to sell it for $500,000, and if I could do that in the next 2 years, that would be incredible.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot easier. So do you have any revenue retention, or is this all one-off?
As in for the clients that stick around?
Well, I mean, is the service a recurring service, or is it a one-time
Yes.
service? It's a recurring service. So
Recurring, yeah.
is it sticky in that, do you keep people from last year to this year?
Yeah, people stay for about 12 months.
Okay, so it's not sticky because they leave.
Right, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. So that is the thing that will make the business more valuable. Also, it'll make it into something you might not want to sell. Which, like, the goal to build a sellable business is build something you don't want to sell because it makes a lot of money. That's the goal. Okay. So $500,000. You said you had 30% gross margins. What are net margins?
Net margins right now is pretty much nothing. So I started another business, and yeah, that sucked up everything.
Well, okay. If you hadn't started the other business, what would the margin have been if you hadn't blown all the money?
12.5%.
Okay. Which is actually, if your gross margin's 30, doing 12.5 is not bad relatively. I do think that 30% gross margin is very hard to make a business work there. And so when you are price fixed, you have two options available to you. All right. Option one is that you sell insurance plus, which is like, we'll do the stuff that's covered by the government and other stuff if you want it, which some people are willing to pay out of pocket, and that can make a material difference in the net profit of the business. So even if 10% of people are willing to pay, 50% more, it doubles the profit of the business, right?
Yep.
So that's option.
And so that's where.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sorry. That's where. So what I found is that we've just accepted work from anywhere and everywhere, and so it's been difficult to try and find staff because somebody leaves, and then it's like I've got a hiring target, but then I realize I'm hiring really only one person. So if somebody else it doesn't solve the problem. So looking at productizing, so rather than molding ourselves to everybody's infinitely complex life, it's saying, well, this is a problem that we solve, this is what we're going for.
Yeah.
So the idea, okay, so I'm on the right track there.
Yeah, scaling roadmap, 1 to 3. You have to start templating your solution.
Yeah. Okay.
So you kiss a lot of toads, which is what you did. You kiss a lot of toads, you figure out a bunch of these suck, and then you figure out a couple of these are good, and then you realize that they don't have different problems, they have the same problem, and you can solve them the same way. So then you create the template, which is what you're doing right now, which is fine. But I said there's 2 strategies to get out of this. All right, so strategy number 1 is that you can do insurance plus, or whatever, government sponsored plus, which is when you ask, again, it's a sorting question right at the front of the sale, which is, are you here to get the best solution to this problem, or the only one that's free, right? And that way some people will say they want the best, and the best is say, listen, we'll give you the free thing plus these other things, which we do at whatever cost, and then you can charge with a much better margin. That's option A. Option B, and you can do both these together, by the way. Option B is when you have a price capped business, you have to create margin from the floor, which means that you have to cut all expenses, like everything, which templating is a big part of that solution. But it's like you have to think from, like, you want to do something called zero cost budgeting, which is, imagine you had no expenses and then you build only what is required.
Yeah. Okay. So leads me to the next question, which is that I find it frustrating from the point of view that it doesn't matter how good I make the service. Obviously, there's the insurance plus approach. Yeah. But I feel as though a lot of the people in this area, their family, so they come from a family, and many people in the family have a disability as well. So they don't have a lot of cash left over. Yeah. So it's like I would want to work in a space where I can charge for the value that I provide rather than just being price capped.
Yeah. So I mean, you talk about serving public sector versus private sector. So yeah.
Yeah. So if I was to, I have thought about starting something else, maybe in the same industry, but working with businesses. But I don't know whether this is just me going, look, it's getting hard and I need something else out of it, or whether I'm assessing and going, look, based on what I now know about business, I would like to be able to set my own prices.
It's a tough call, man, because right now it's a push or pivot question, which is relatively personal in terms of the risk that you're willing to take on. You want to sell this for $500,000, but basically to sell this for $500,000, you're going to need to make at least $250 in profit, probably, maybe more than that, which I don't think is that hard for you to do if you did the plus model and ate up some margin from the bottom and you didn't have the distraction and the cash that went out, right? Because you did 12.5% on $1 million or $1.5 million, right? So you had $200,000 in profit on that year, correct?
Yeah. And so does that include my wage or no?
Yeah, it does. It's called SDE, seller discretionary earnings, which typically small businesses like yours, they trade there. They trade on SDE, not EBITDA. But typically when you're trading for those types of business, you're going to get 1, 2, 3 times earnings maybe, and it's usually going to be a somewhat structured deal because it'll just be somewhat structured. So they might say like, okay, you get to $250,000 a year, I'll buy the business for $500, I'll give you $200,000 up front, and then $300,000 over time, as long as the business stays at this level or whatever, right? So the better the business is, the more the multiple is, the more you'll command, because it's still supply and demand on the business side. Like the product becomes the business, and then the demand is what investors want to buy it, and it's going to come down to the nature and the quality of the business overall, right? But I would say that you would for sure get offers at $500,000 if you did $500,000 in profit in the business, and depending on how reliable it is. Now, if you can show that these people are going to consistently keep paying you over, if you can get it to like 2 or 3 years, then the business is going to grow no matter what, which ultimately would make it both sellable and accomplish your goal. So there's a number of ways we can solve this, but if I am you, if the goal was 500 grand, then I would just say, I'm going to do cost plus on the front end. I'm going to eat up margin on the back, and then I'm going to try and see what I can do to get people to stay 2 years or 3 years. Like if you just accomplish those 3 things, you will likely recreate the margin you had, and then you'd be able to sell the company.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, brother. Appreciate you. Straya. All right. So those guys are asking in the chat, how do you get a chance to converse with Ma, which is also French for me. We have a link, I'm sure, somewhere. I'm taking calls from people who are in Vantage, which is our online community, which we created a lot of which for international folks who can't come out in person. So if that's you, then come to Vantage. Basically, our advisors in there. We share the stuff that's working best for us right now. So it's like if you want the behind the scenes of like how we're making the content, how we're cranking out so many ads, like our sales process. Basically, every week we have tests that are running inside the company, like this test, right, that I'm doing right now with these lives. Like I'm doing more details inside of there. And so yeah, that's what Vantage is for, and it's for $1 million plus businesses. So if that's you, you can join. If not, enjoy the free shit. All right, let's go El Gato. All right, so hi Alex, I'm a one-man music academy owner, okay? What do you think of my industry, and is it still worth pursuing since I live in the Middle East and my main Western clients are migrating due to war? I'm gonna guess that's in person and not remote, because if it was remote, then I don't think it would matter if they were migrating, because they could just keep working with you remote. But it sounds like the reason that you're giving to change the industry is because of the geography, which doesn't actually translate. Because you could say like, I'm a one-man dry cleaner, I'm a one-man lawn care service. Is it still worth time since people are moving away from the Middle East? So I don't know if that's a reason to stop doing it. I think that there's always been strife there, and that has not really changed for like 1,000 years. So I wouldn't make that the reason. It's more likely that you're attributing a difficulty in business to an external environment thing, which you don't really have any control over. So that being said, I'd say your options are as follows. Number one, you could just do online, which then you could serve anyone anywhere, which I think it's a great idea. Or option two, we could just advertise more, because you don't need that many clients to feed you. Like, think about it like this. Music will be consumed, or music lessons will be consumed in the Middle East, and if it is harder, then it will make the people who are bad at it go out of business faster than the people who are good at it. And so you would just absorb market share by being better. And so either of those options work. Both of them are under your control. All right. Next question from El Chat. I'm on failing business number 6 right now. They haven't all failed per se, but none have yet to generate cash and running out of runway. Do you recommend I get a job or keep pushing harder to get one of these profitable? I will be a business owner one day, but the phase I'm in right now sucks. I feel like I'm on the verge of something great, but my bank account says otherwise. Well, first off, you are a business owner. You're just not a profitable business owner, so don't feel too bad. Technically, you're a multiple business owner, which I think might actually be your issue. So you said you're on failing business number 6 right now. You said, I'm pushing hard to get one of these profitable. I have this feeling that you have more than one that's ongoing right now and that your attention is split. You have such limited resources that you need to allocate all of them towards one thing because you can do so little. Like I'm just being real, like compared to me, you can do not a lot. I have a lot of money, I have a lot of media, I have a lot of employees, and I say that just to demonstrate the difference in leverage that exists. And I don't say that to make you feel bad. I do that to clarify how concentrated you need to make your effort in order to get a reasonable enough return to multiply that effort, multiply the output. So, big picture, I am guessing that you are overcomplicating the process of getting your business started, which just means that you need to get a stranger to give you money in exchange for doing something for them that they do not know how to do or want to do or have time to do, right? They don't have the time to do it, they don't want to do it, or they don't know how to do it. Those are the three buckets. You do any of those three things for somebody in exchange for money, and you get them to give it to you as the trade. That is the easiest business to start. And so if you're struggling there, I'm guessing that you're not doing that, which means you're probably not letting people know about your stuff, and you're spending all your time trying to think about your business rather than letting people know about the one you got. Like, you will iterate the business in time, but the requirement for having the business is having strangers find out about it. And so you are focusing on the wrong part of the business. You need to be promoting the business as almost all you're doing every day. And so right now, for those of you who are in the fallacy of I don't know what business to start, the best way to figure out to start is to talk to people, advertise, let people know. So outreach, content, paid ads, going to affiliates and saying, hey, you got a bunch of my customers, what can I do for them, right? Solve people's problems. That's it. That's all it is. And then you ask for money to do it. And in the beginning, you can do it for free. And then if they value it for free, then they will value it for less than free if you get enough of them and you have testimonials, and then that is what spins the wheel. This is the first 5 clients chapter in the Leads book. So review that. Okay. And the offers book. You should read that anyways. Okay. I'll do one more. So I've run a coffee business for 5 years, doing $300,000 annually. At 32, how do I know when it's time to leave the business supporting my family to pursue something with more upside and long-term potential? What you ask is, when is the right time to take a risk? It's entirely up to you. And I know that's not the question you want, but it is the answer that is correct. Which is that you have dependents, right? You have dependents. You're doing $300,000 a year. I don't know what your profit is. Maybe that's your profit. Maybe that's your revenue. I'm not sure. I would say having a nest egg is a good idea. And I would say considering having a conversation about downsizing lifestyle, with your spouse, and saying, hey, this is going to be for a season, not forever. And this is so that we can unlock things greater. And I just need you to have faith in me. And this, to be fair, it's a hard conversation. Like your spouse has to believe in you. Now, at the end of the day, you have to believe in you. It is your life, but I think having spousal support is really important. I will wager that your kids probably don't care or know the difference, because, depending on how young they are, like cardboard box often entertains just as much as a toy that it came in. And so I think that we have this idea that we need to make lots of money in order for our kids to have a good time, but I think more often they just want to spend time with us. And I say this not being a father yet, but that is a wager that I'm willing to bet on. But with that being said, I think you need to have a convo with your spouse and then say, this is the question I would ask. What would you need to see, or what would it take for you to feel comfortable for me to make this bet? And so instead of asking how long or when, ask what conditions would need to be true in order for this to feel like a good idea. And I think that is something that you can check off. And then as soon as you have that rubric, you can then just go check off the list and go do it, rather than saying arbitrarily in 6 months and 12 months, which there'll never be a good time and you'll always kick it out. So I would say, what has to be true about the environment or my conditions in order for me to move forward, and then do it once you have met those requirements. All right. Hi, Alex. I'm 13 and I have an AI automation company. Awesome. I have no clients. I have more than 6,000 messages sent. Only tips to scale and actually close. I'm working on a few deals currently. Hard to close. Sometimes I doubt this. Start for free. Get testimonials. Demonstrate value. Once you have a demonstrated value, you can advertise the value you create and then attach a price tag to that value and charge a discount on the value you create. I'm guessing you're just trying to sell people when you don't have track record. Get track record first, and then it's much easier to sell. Also, it's easy to sell those people. Also, it's easy to ask those people for referrals if they don't want to pay. So it's a great first start no matter what you're going to do. All right, let's do the next one. Mr. Gong.
Prosper, you're up. Hi, Alex. I'm Prosper.
What's up?
And my wife and I were really huge fan of your family, and congratulations on soon being a father. So my wife and I will run a private sport coaching business in Fribourg, Switzerland. We started outdoors in 2024, and now we have 2 studios, with one including 100% woman-only space, with a dance studio and a fitness boxing space.
Mm-hmm.
And now the problem is that my wife and I were the only ones who are actually, dealing with the whole business. And we need approximately 4K a month to cover our costs and, be able to pay ourselves salaries. But right now we're doing approximately 20K a month. And so the question is, should we actually delegate? Should we be delegated some work to people so we can concentrate on growing our business, or should we still be doing it ourselves?
So your fixed costs are 4,000. You're making 20, so there's 16 in profit. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry. No, fixed cost is 40,000 a month.
Oh.
40K a month.
And you're making 20?
Yeah.
So you're losing money right now.
Exactly, because we opened the woman-only space in the month of May, and in my region, that's like the summer down period. And so we were actually expecting to lose a bit of money.
Okay. Are you making progress every month?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, like we're expecting, like right now we're on break for 3 weeks, and we're going to start up in the 17th of August. And usually at this period we have so many demands, and so we're actually thinking of delegating so we can grow the business, or we're thinking of continue to do it ourselves, since we don't have since we're in a
Cash
bit
flow.
of financial struggle.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you don't have many options though, because so it's 2 locations or 1?
2 locations.
So you guys are basically, is your wife at one and you're at the other?
Exactly, more or less.
Tough,
I
man.
guess.
Yeah. With the time you get back, fundamentally the only thing that's going to grow this business is selling memberships, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a pure dollars and cents question, but you have to be confident about the answer, which is, if I got somebody to train, let's say 8 hours a day, so you don't have to be on the floor, can you make more, basically, can you make enough money in membership sales to cover the cost of that labor?
I think so, because the problem we have is that we also have 2 kids, and if we can liberate a bit of time to run, so the business, we don't have to be in the business for the business to run, and so this way we can also concentrate more time on getting the business to get bigger, and have clients, and so that's the question that's a bit of the question we're asking each other right now.
If you can take the extra time and make more than it costs you to pay the person to do the training, then it makes sense to make the trade. So the first hire I had when I was in your exact position, so I know it very well, was I got somebody to handle all my afternoon session. No, I actually think I started with my morning sessions, but I probably should have started in retrospect with my afternoon sessions, but I think I was just dying because I was waking up at 4 o'clock every day and going to sleep at like 11. Anyways, point being, I'm guessing when are sales the best for you? Afternoons?
Yeah, I think I have more people in the afternoons.
Right. So I would say teach the morning sessions, get somebody to cover the half day in the afternoon. It's going to cost you, I don't know, maybe $20 a session. You're going to do 4 sessions in the afternoons group, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to cost you $80 a day. And so as long as you can cover, and that's going to be what, 5 days a week that you're going to do that?
Yeah, 5-6 days a week.
Yeah. So if it's let's just say 5 days for simple math. So it's going to be $400 a week. It's $1,600 a month that it's going to add up for in terms of total costs. as long as you can, if you had all your afternoons free so you can do your sales, cover $1,600 a month, you should do the trade as soon as possible.
Okay.
And then once you have that, then you can say, I'm going to do the same thing in the morning. But the thing is that you have to make sure that whenever you make those trades, whenever you trade money, as in like it's a reverse trade, you're trading money for time, that when you make that trade, you have to make the money back. Otherwise, you're actually losing money.
Yeah, but though we also have a feeling that most of our clients, they actually come because of us. And we're also afraid that if they come and they don't see like our face, or if it's not us that doing this,
It's
I feel
easy.
like
It's fine. Everybody goes through this because you have to take it to the natural extreme, which is you're not going to run every class forever. It's not going to happen, right? You know that's not going to be forever. So what you can do is do this over the next, call it 4 weeks. Have somebody come in for 1 session or 2 sessions, and then 3 sessions, and then 4 sessions, and 5 sessions. Over time, you can do them together. In the short term, you transfer the authority over, and then when people come in, you can still greet them, say hi, do the back and forth and whatnot, and you're gonna have to accept the fact that some people are like, it's not like you, and you're like, yeah, you're right, he's even better. So you are in a service business, you have to make sure the person who comes in is good. But the goal should be to find somebody who's better than you, but you can still greet people, have the social component, all that, but then the rest of the time during the sessions, you need to do sales. And if you don't have sales, go out on the floor and basically, anytime you're not in sales, be on the floor so that you can still kind of cover that in between. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And if I may, just one last question. Like right now, client acquisition method is mostly Instagram
Right.
or like word to mouth. And we've tried putting up some ads, but we feel that it's not really working for us. So what do you actually what do you think we should do about this?
Well, I think you probably don't have the right offer or sales motion. Ads for sure work for, are you doing like what, meta ads for the gym?
Meta ads, yeah, exactly. Mostly.
Yeah, I mean, meta ads still to this day work fine. What was your cost per lead?
I think we did 500 Swiss francs. That's about $500 for 1 month just to try. I mean, we got some clients, but I think people mostly come because I'm quite famous in my region.
Yeah.
And so it's I think that's what really attracts people more than the meta ads.
Well, if you're quite famous in your region, ads will only work better, and you'll be able to liquidate, or you'll be able to get the cash back for the time that you're paying the trainer to be on the floor. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you should run ads. You should post content the way that you are and do sales.
Okay.
I just don't think don't overcomplicate this. Take the afternoon sessions. That's when you sell. If you don't have a sales appointment, go on the floor so people see you. But otherwise, you should be basically working leads and selling. That is the job that you're in right now.
Okay.
All right, like you got in the gym business, but you're actually in the marketing and sales business.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to switch.
It's a different game, dude. Different game. I started my gym because I thought it was gonna be about fitness, but I'd never think about fitness. I was thinking about membership sales.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Also, read the Gym Launch Secrets book.
I did.
Okay, good.
I am actually.
Well, good.
Then the other one also.
Then do that. Run the whole model's already in there. Just do it.
Yeah,
Right.
I always speak a chapter, and I try to do the exact same thing.
Good.
So yeah.
Good. You're gonna want to get semis going as fast as you can, so you can sell higher ticket stuff.
Okay.
And so if you want to have people come to you, again, this is short-term, long-term, but short-term, if you want to increase the cash of the facility, it depends how much money you want to make and what your ultimate goal is. But if you got 2 facilities and you and your wife are comfortable working, I would say you guys can do the semi-privates, let the trainers do the one-to-many, and then people are going to want to ascend to the semi-privates at a higher price point. Instead of paying $150 a month, they're going to pay $400, $500, $600 a month to do 1-on-6 with you.
Yeah, we actually thought of doing that, but we don't really know how to put that into motion. Well, yeah, we already thought about this.
Run ads and sell people into it. That's it. That's how you put it into motion.
Okay.
Pick one time a week that you have, and then you keep adding times.
Okay.
All right, appreciate you.
Okay. Yeah, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, Bryce Clifford, 8974. Hey, Alex, I started an LLC last week. Business account is open. Website is built. Early access launches Saturday, and I'm excited to put 1,000 hours of consume Hormozi content to work. Haha. Great. Love it. You can either get an epic outcome or an epic story. Both mean you win. That is such a powerful mindset shift for any entrepreneur facing obstacles right now. Thank you for this. You're welcome. Okay. Raul Flo. Hi, Alex. I'm 24 years old and look like I'm 18. I made a restaurant management SaaS and I can't seem to get any customers. The problem is that I have an age difference because they think of me as a teenager. So let me give you a secret that I did when I started at 22. I didn't tell people I owned the business. I told people that I was the manager and that the owner was someone else. And everyone was very happy to pay adult prices to a kid who worked for an adult. And whenever I had to let me see if the boss, will do it, I would step outside and I'd pull my phone out and I would just do nothing. And then I'd come back in and be like, yeah, he's good with that. And then I even had a celebration where I'm a part owner, and people were like, oh yeah, he's a part owner. And so that's actually how I managed to do that when I was younger, FYI. So use it. I mean, I think Tim Ferriss talked about this, where he would respond to emails as the name and then head of customer success, but he was also head of sales and head of marketing and head of everything else. So yeah, you do what you got to do when you're starting out. Okay, I know you say don't switch businesses every time it gets hard, but how do you know if you're just hitting a wall you need to push through, or if the business itself is just not going to work out? It just comes down to whether the fundamental assumption that you built the business upon is false. So if it's, I don't know how to get customers, that is not an assumption. That is just a lack of skill. If you are talking to what you believe to be your core avatar and they do not want your thing, we have to make sure that it is not an offer or sales problem. But assuming that you were doing everything correct in those instances, if people just don't want the thing, which is only true when you're trying to invent a new category. And so I want to be really clear about this. If you're getting into an industry that literally already exists, you just lack skill, period. So if you're like, I don't know if, how do I know if I'm just hitting a wall, I need to push through. If you're starting an agency for small business owners and you're not making money, it's not like the agency business somehow has been disproven by your failure. You just lack skills. And so for the vast majority of you, you're trying to get into businesses that have already existed. It's almost none of you guys are inventing something that doesn't already exist. And so that if you're in that 99% bucket, it means there's already a version of your business that works, and you can look at what that model is and how they price, and you can begin there, and then you can start to iterate. But you'd have to have some assumption that has been proven wrong, which is that people do not want this thing fundamentally, not just from you. The whole market doesn't want it. So if there's anybody else who can sell something similar to what you do, or rather at least has the problem that you're trying to solve, then you know there is a version of your business that works and you just need to push through. All right, let's do Mr. Gong. Next, what's up?
Maybe one more question.
One more? All right, let's do another chat. Give me a scroll up though, because I'm getting a little freak out zone. All right, I'll take this as a shake moment. All right, let's get some Nicorette. Hold on. I think I got one. A little Nicorette break, nicotine break. This break brought to you by nicotine. All right. Okay, so guys, let's see, stay here. Can you scroll up a little bit? Or no, here, okay, that works too. Okay. I'm starting an online lead generation and qualification site where it's self-serve. How would you get customers with a limited budget? So Alibaba 2478. So you're trying to do lead gen and then sell those leads? I mean, fundamentally, if you're starting out, you're going to do a lead gen business. The whole game is arbitrage, which means that you have to buy leads for less than you're going to sell them for. And whether you're selling them on a retainer or on a per leads basis, it doesn't really matter. But your entire game needs to be understanding customer acquisition at a deep level. And so I would just really heavily think about the question, because you're basically saying, this is the core thing of my business and I don't know how to do it, which is kind of an issue. But the cheapest ways of getting customers is going to be SEO, AEO content, and then selling them to people who are accustomed to paid ads prices. And so you'll have high quality leads for low prices, and that is the fundamental arbitrage that you are selling. All right, let's do Daniel Camello, 01. I'm a local food content creator, but I have a hard time charging restaurants over $300. I'm one of the most known in my city, but I sometimes have restaurants who don't want to pay. Okay. So Restaurants are tough because they make no money and they're really volatile. But you just have to show them that you're going to get them customers. And you could have I don't know how many customers you have. It's a tough niche, man. There for sure are people who make money in that niche. I think what you'll end up having to do is like, it's probably content plus ads, which is like you can make the ad, the content that you're going to make, but then you put money behind it. And if you can capture the leads and demonstrate that those people are showing up, then you will have a much better chance at demonstrating ROI. Because like, if people don't want to pay $300, it's because they don't believe you, right? So that's really what it comes down to, is they don't actually believe that you're going to be able to get them a return. And so what you have to pay down is the risk they have associated with not getting it. And so, the easiest version of this is that you say you'll do it for free once, and if they want it again, they can pay. That's the easiest offer that you can give. You could also do it as a trial again, which is same concept. Or you could do it as a pay per. The difficulty with pay per is the attribution of like how honest they are going to be. And so that's the hard part. I don't love, like, I don't want to dissuade you from doing it. I don't love it's just a very tough avatar. It's a tough avatar because they're usually not that sophisticated. I think that you should be anchoring much higher than $300 though. You're probably looking at like $1,500 a month, something like that, for it to even be worth it. But I think it's the combination of content plus ads that's going to be like the unlock for you. So that's my TLDR. All right. Nyards 4532. Hey Alex, if you can pay for specific knowledge skills and want to learn one-on-one, how would you approach someone in the same industry since they're likely competitors and might not want to share? So, important question. I've learned from two people, typically not competitors. They're usually not willing to just give you their secrets. So I like learning from outside of people who literally just teach for a living, right? Outside of those obvious answers, are number one, vendors. So people who serve your type of avatar. So let's say you're a painter and you find an agency that helps painters get leads. I would offer to pay them double what they currently charge to learn the thing, and then sell them on the fact that, listen, I'm sure your turn is, your average stick is 6 months or 9 months, and like I'll be worth more than that, and then I would just pay you the same amount after the fact just for consulting. And if you do that for enough people, you'll have somebody who's willing to take the offer. That's number one. The second way, and the way that you sell it is time on task, by the way, which is you say, listen, I'm sure that what you would end up doing is like, you check my account, twice a week, or, so this is how I'd reverse sell it. You say, hey, I'm a painter, you do lead gen. Okay, how much time are you gonna put on my account? At this point, because they're selling you, they're gonna say a lot of time, right? And so they're gonna be like, oh, I check your account daily, and then, we have a weekly one-on-one. You're like, okay, cool. So I wanna do all of that stuff, except when you check daily, I just wanna be there, so just tell me when you do it. And I want to be the one to click the buttons. And when we do the daily, the weekly one-on-one, I just want feedback so I can understand the decision-making process. And I'm willing to pay the same or more in order for you to do that, but it takes no extra time for you. I'm just going to get more value from it. That's the idea. That's the pitch to a vendor. If you want to go to a competitor, you will absolutely be able to learn from a competitor if you do it in a market that you're not in. So when I had my gyms in California, I went to different gyms that were not in my local area, and those gym owners were happy to help me out. And I also said I was willing to share anything that I knew to help them out. I didn't have to pay them. They said they'd do it because I was also young, and typically older business owners, if they don't see you as direct competition, which being young helps and not being in their area double helps, they were willing to just put me under their wing. And so I got a lot of help from early gym owners, which is also why I make this content, because many people helped me out on my way, and many people did it for free. Some didn't, but many did it for free. Please give any brutally honest advice to help me. I'm 24, single father, lost my fiance of 9 years, my job, had to drop friends because of bad decisions they made, and about to lose my house. Okay. I think you don't need brutally honest advice. I think you just need encouragement, which is just that bad seasons happen. I'm sure that you contributed partially to it. I think it is worthwhile trying to understand how you contributed to the outcome. I think saying woe is me is not valuable. And realizing that you are still alive, and if you had cancer, you would wish for all of the problems you have instead of cancer. All right, and so it's reframing your reality as someone else's dream. And the TLDR of this whole thing is that you simply are going to have to change your lifestyle in the short term, which might mean moving in with friends, moving back in with parents in the short term, so that you can basically get your feet back under you, which really just means financial stability, and then start making bets yet again on what you need to do next. But I think you need stability right now before you try to add more chaos variables into your life, because you've had a lot of change. And so I would say, like, I would want to introduce routine, and I would want to introduce stable environments physically and emotionally, so that you can weather the time period. But the strongest frame that you should approach this with is that I am living someone else's dream. And just think about what that person's life would have to be in order for your life to be the dream, so that you can flip it. Like Layla has this frame that I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is 50% of your life is good and 50% of your bad. 50% of your life is good and 50% of your life is bad. And whether you have a good life or a bad life, it just depends on which 50% you focus on. So, dude, you're healthy, you're young, you have energy, you have a kid who hopefully likes you. Like, you have other things that are going for you. You just have these other things that are out there. Like, you lost your fiance, but at the same time, you're single. And there's some people who are in relationships that all they want is single. So it's like, even though these things, like many of the things you described, are changes to your condition rather than inherently negative outcomes. And so you lost your job, but also many people hate their jobs and wish they could change jobs, and you just got it changed on you. And so each of these conditions, like, could be reframed as potentially positive, because you have the opportunity now to do whatever you want, which in some people, that is their goal, is freedom, and you have it right now. So maybe see it as the beginning of something new and great, and emerge from the ashes, which is what the most fertile ground is. Hopefully that helps. Royal International Academy. I'm organizing feminine retreats in Turkey. I don't know how to act to be heart touchable. I'm so natural. Please advise me. That's a lot. That's a lot. That made no sense at all. No clue. Yep, move on from that one. I'm a 15-year-old freelance marketer. I've been learning for 2 years. I had a client for 3 weeks, but he didn't pay me. Jackass. Bro, come on. I will bet dollars to donuts that you made some mistakes in this process, and you need to learn from it. Thankfully, you don't need the money. You're probably living at home, and you're not going to starve. I don't even know if there was a question in that one, but I think that you just need to go get more customers and learn from your mistakes. All right, Mr. Gong, let's do another Q.
Alex, we have a special guest for you today.
Special guest for me today. That could be bad or good. We'll see. Hello?
Hi, Alex.
Yes?
Hi, Alex. This is Lily from the UK.
Hey, Lily. What's up?
Nothing. I'm a little nervous.
Me too.
Oh. I run a local coffee shop with my husband, and I just wanted some advice.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get him to listen to me. I can't even get a hold of him, and I'm hoping maybe you could help me get a hold of him.
Like, he's not returning your calls?
Like, he doesn't text me back.
Ever.
I'm trying to talk to him about the business. He's just so busy, and he won't rest. He won't listen to me when I ask him to rest.
But
It's
are you
very
working in the
frustrating.
business too?
Yes.
So you see him at the business, right?
Yes.
So when you see him at the business, do you not talk to him?
No, I do, but there's employees there.
Can you go in like the storage room closet or something
To do what?
to talk to him,
Oh God.
or walk outside?
It's just a little frustrating, because I'm constantly.
I just figured it out. It was the laugh that did it. It was the laugh that did it.
Love you.
This is Layla. There we go. It's like, what in the actual
You didn't
fuck?
get it from Lily, the name we were talking about earlier?
No, I did think that, and I was just like, that is an odd coincidence. And I just kept living my life. So this husband of yours, do you not talk to him at home?
I'm gonna call into his fucking hotline. That's what I'm gonna do.
Is this how you get a hold of me?
Hold on 1 second. I'll see you in a minute.
Oh, you're busy now? Now you're busy. To be clear, I'm available. I'm making time. Let the record show. I was available. All right. Was that fun? Okay, I need a pep talk. Diagnosed. Hold on. Wait. What we got? What's up?
Let's do a live question.
We got a live one?
A live question.
Are you coming? You joining the? All right, we have a special guest.
Hello.
I was like, why is this special? It's like, I mean, nothing wrong with some UK shop lady. It's like, it's fine.
I almost peed my pants.
All right, we're getting a double trouble. We're getting the we're dynamic duo. Okay, let's. You want to do? Do we have another next up?
Oh my God, you reek of nicotine.
Yeah.
So bad.
All right. So let's look at the chat. Can you slow down the chat so we can answer some of these? All right. So I'm 25 years old. I'm pursuing a BS in mechanical engineering. You know something about that. How do I beat the fear of failure with taking 6 classes and working 40 hours? Layla. Or Lily.
I had to get the giggles out. I don't think that you beat the failure or the fear of the failure. I think that you have to take it with you. I don't think that you're going to, like, everyone always wants to get rid of the fear before they do something, but the reality is that the fear only goes away when you do the thing. And that's the reason why I don't think you ever feel ready or you ever lack fear until the second time you do something. I think it's reasonable to have a healthy amount of concern if you're like, hey, working 40 hours a week and taking 6 classes, like, that's a lot for me, like, literally looking at the hours in a day. I think it makes sense that you'd be concerned about that. I don't think that is... I think it's also, like, how you're talking to yourself about the situation, which is, like, I'm fearing the failure. It's like, okay, what's actually likely going to happen? What, like, you don't do as well in one class, maybe you're late to work a time or two. Like, I think it's better to contextualize realistically what could happen rather than catastrophizing and thinking that I'm going to lose my job and I'm going to fail out in all my classes. The reality is it's probably somewhere in the middle. Like, there will be times where you sacrifice some of your studies for work and some of your work for your studies, and you're going to have to figure out how to balance that, but you're not going to ever figure out how to balance it unless you just go and do it.
And what an amazing opportunity of a story that you will be able to someday tell to your kids about how you persevered when it was difficult. Right? Like, if you just took 6 classes, you would have no story. You'd be like everyone else. If you just worked 40 hours a week, you'd be like everyone else. And so you have the opportunity to do something that's more exceptional, more above average. And I think most people hope for that opportunity because, like, the story that you're going to be able to tell is going to be based and built on the hardships that you endured to get to where you want to go.
Inspiring.
Yeah. Inspo Lily. All right, Layla, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm 37. Is it too late?
You're literally about to turn 37.
I know. That's why it's so relevant.
Well,
Is
that's
it too late?
That's quite depressing that you're 37. Let's just ignore that fact. No, it's not too late. Like, that's ridiculous. I think some of the, most successful people on Earth started when they're 45, 50. Who was it? The founder of McDonald's? Was it him that was?
Ray Kroc.
Ray Kroc, wasn't he like almost 50 or 40 something when he started? Mm-hmm. I just think to myself, you have so much life left. Why? I don't know why people ask that question, actually. Is it too late? Too late for what? Like, too late to live your life, too late to succeed, too late to have what you want. Yeah, exactly. It's like, why does this prohibit you? Like, you're not at the point yet where your health is, like, rapidly declining either. So, like, I don't really understand what that means.
Let me give you an interesting frame on this. When you are 20, 30, 50, 100, you literally only have one thing, which is the present. So there is fundamentally, as much as I made an argument at the very beginning of this, that, like, you should go hard when you're young because you have a lot of advantages, it doesn't negate the fact that you should go pursue your goals with whatever condition you have. It doesn't mean, yes, there are advantages when you're younger. There's also advantages when you're older. Like you might have more experience, you might have more wisdom, you might have more resources. But let's just assume for the purpose of this discussion that you have no resources and no experience because you wasted the first 17 years of your life. Great. Think about this. Are there 20-year-olds who start at 20 and then at 24 are crushing it? Yes. So there's no reason that at 37 you can start, at 41 you're crushing it. Like by saying it is too late is accepting that you will accomplish nothing between now and when you die. That's what it turns into. And so,
That's tough.
Right. So as long as you believe that you're going to stay alive and you're going to do something with the time you have, the time is going to get spent either way. You might as well spend it building something that you want to build rather than basically running the clock out until you die.
I also think it's, you said this, but I think highlighting it is there are advantages to being young. There's also a lot of advantages to being older. So, I mean, I can think about when our first 10 years of work, being in our early 20s when we started, like you have so much energy. You have...
I started the whole...
You have no pain. What? You started the whole life like that?
Yeah.
So much energy.
Yeah. And
you
no
don't have
pain.
any physical pain. You don't have any ailments. You don't have a lot of responsibility. So there's a lot of things there. But then as you get older, you have way better critical thinking. You have, I would say, way better judgment.
Emotional control.
Way better emotional control, more patience. You're typically wiser. So there's a lot of advantages, and I think that as you get older, you see ways to do things that you can get things done with more leverage. Like you don't have to use yourself to get everything done. You see a lot, I would say, smarter ways that you can get things done in business. So if I were starting, and actually we have done this, on our third business, started it completely different than we did in the very beginning. First business is did everything myself first, didn't hire anybody smart for a long time, duct taped everything together with brute force. And then on our third business, it's all right, hiring the entire executive team first. So, and I think that's just judgment, that's learning, that's understanding, I don't have the energy to do it all anymore.
It's reputation, it's leverage with capital. There's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, that's why it's a stepping stone. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have been able to get the talent that we have on this team if we didn't have the track record that got us here. So you just build on what you got.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm 20 and I'm at my breaking point. I'm tired of everyone and everything. I have no family, no counsel, and no friends. I've been betrayed, laughed at, mocked, and thrown away. I'm tired and I want to win.
Well, I'll say this. Everything you said before I want to win doesn't really matter.
Nobody really cares.
Yeah, it just doesn't really matter. If you want to win, great. Do the stuff that winning takes. I think everything else that you mentioned there was to try and get a sympathy response. But the world will not give you sympathy. The world does not care. It is uncaring. It cares about the value that you can create for it. People are self-interested. And so your sob story only helps you feel better about your current condition, but it does not change your condition.
What was it your dad used to say? Better to be envied than pitied.
I know, my dad used to say that all the time.
Yeah, Alex's dad likes to say that. Better to be envied than pitied.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a little bit of deeper insight into this for those of you who take this the way I mean it. Many people talk about having an immigrant father. I was an only child with an immigrant father, and my mother wasn't super present. And so it was just immigrant father 24/7. And one of the things that's there's downsides to that for sure. But I feel like I am the output of what happens when you have a pure immigrant father who just drives. And one of the things was that.
I love you, Dad.
No, my dad's a sweetheart now. But and he's
Now.
evolved. He's evolved, right? But one of the things that I would say that he had absolutely zero tolerance for was complaining. It was just zero. And so he would actually give me a null response. He would ignore me and anything that I said if it was negative or if it was complaining. And anytime I complained because I wanted to get sympathy or I wanted comfort, and maybe that's what a motherly role would have been. But whenever I basically made a bid for that kind of attention, it was completely ignored. And I'm not saying that's healthy or unhealthy. That's not my point of this. Live your life the way you want. But I am saying that it served me in the pursuit of accomplishing things by not putting a lot of time into all the things that went wrong, because the first person I got feedback from in reality completely disregarded it. and he always used to say, like, it's better to be envied than pitied. Never seek to be pitied. And that just like rang true in my whole life. And I would say it's been incorporated into how I function. Like, you saying all of these things just breeds victimhood. And do you really want to be a victim? Like, do you want to be a victim of your own life? You might be right, and so what? Like, if you are right that you are a victim, is that the award that you want to win? It's competing for a prize that when you win, you lose. What?
So intense.
I know, right?
I know.
Brutally
Jesus,
honest.
This is not how it normally is.
This is not how Dear Layla goes? This is not...
No. I think it's interesting too, is like, as you say this, I have people that have messaged me and said, I'm at my breaking point, I'm heartbroken, and I'm like, you're not at your breaking point. And the words that we use to talk about ourselves and describe our lives, it's very important, which is like a big reason why people will say, they'll look at my content and they'll be like, I'll say something like, well, I'm concerned. They're like, why will you not? You're suppressing your emotions. I'm like, no, me saying I'm fucking stressed out of my mind, I'm fucking overwhelmed, that doesn't actually make me feel better. And I remember we had a conversation like early in the relationship, and I remember I wouldn't like outwardly express my emotions a ton. And we were like, is that healthy? Is that not healthy? And there was a ton of studies basically that came out on venting and the way that you speak about yourself, and how like large outbursts of emotions, speaking negatively about yourself and exaggerating your situation or using dramatic words to essentially like
create an emotive response.
Yeah, it actually makes it worse. It doesn't help you move forward in the situation. So it's like, maybe those things are all true. What you do next is up to you. All these things may have happened. You may have been betrayed. You may have had bad luck. You may have had all these things occur. But you're an adult who can take action to move forward in their life next. You're not stuck where you are. And all of those things happened yesterday. They're not happening today. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I think the way that you talk about yourself is really important. That's one thing I say a lot, is like, I'm concerned, I'm frustrated. Like, I think it's very important to use precise language when you're talking about how you feel and your situation, because you might actually be digging yourself into a much deeper hole than you're actually in.
Yeah, I'm at my breaking point. It's like, what if you just weren't at your breaking point and you're fine and you'll still eat and live and be fine the next day? It's
like heartbroken. It's like, your heart's not broken. I'm sad.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, I miss somebody.
This is I need a pep talk. Diagnosed with melanoma at 38, 1.5 years ago. Can't get out of my own way and build my marketing business.
I mean, I think the pep talk is you're still here a year and a half later. So there's something positive in the statement itself. I think it would be reasonable to say, if you're dealing with overcoming cancer, it's going to be hard to have 100% of your attention to build a business. You're not, like,
obviously.
This is like the same question I get when people are like, what do I do? I have a new baby, but I'm also trying to build my business. I'm like, what do you want me to say? Fuck your baby? Like, no. Seriously though, it's like, what? Like, be like, fuck your cancer, pay attention to the business. It's like, it is of course going to take attention from you. It's going to take time from you. It's going to take mental bandwidth that somebody else who doesn't have that diagnosis is not going to have to deal with. But I try to look at the bright side, which is like, look at all of these skills that you're going to have to acquire to be able to pursue both of those things. And how can you overcoming and dealing with your melanoma diagnosis actually help your marketing business? And I think it's always in these situations that are presented as outwardly bad, you have to ask yourself, what's good about this? Every time something like absolutely tragic has happened in my life, I've always said, but what's good about it? And it feels sometimes really impossible to find it, but I actually think that you can find a lot in that.
I'll tell you, so first off, I'm sorry. Second off, this will be part of the story that you tell. And you can see from the comments we've mentioned earlier, there's tons of people who don't have cancer and are struggling to get started in their business. And so there's like, even the fact that you're starting is still an advantage to the people who haven't, even though you have cancer. So kudos to you on that. I'll tell you a story that I think might illustrate this, what Layla was saying. We have a friend, Brooke Castillo, who big life coach. And one of the questions that she said, I think she did it on a podcast, but she said she got divorced later in her life, and she said, how could getting divorced be amazing?
Yeah.
She said, how could I have the most amazing divorce that's ever been had?
And she did.
And she did. They have a great relationship. Their kids were fine. Like, everything was good. And so it's basically asking the question, what would it take for this to be a good thing? And then solving for that.
Which is usually, what action would I have to take? What attitude would I have to have about the situation? Someone recently here actually was getting divorced, and then everyone looked at me like how I was going to respond. And I said, "Congratulations,
Yeah.
congratulations! You made a decision. You've probably been wanting to do this for a long time. So good luck. You get to move on with your life now."
And to be clear, we're not saying divorce is good or bad or anything like that. She had made a decision, and it's great. Whatever your decisions are, congrats. Now you get to live life. So yeah, focus on what you can do. And my kind of ruthless tactical stuff on this for my melanoma friend is if you feel sad about the cancer stuff, work can be a great distraction. And introspection is a modern invention.
Yeah, I've had to deal with health issues over the last few years, not cancer, but still things that were got in the way of me living in my life. And the biggest thing I will say is everyone told me that you should stop working so much to focus on this. How on earth would that have helped? I would have gotten rid of the things in my life that made me feel good, that gave me confidence, that I got to use my skills in, to then focus on something I can't control? Because the reality is you can't control cancer. You can do your best to show up and to do the treatments and to find the best doctors, but we can't control some of these things. And so I actually just really disagree with a lot of the, quit everything to focus on what the health diagnosis is. I actually think it makes things worse much of the time.
It's removing the positive reinforcers in your life.
Yeah, it's I should also get divorced and say bye to my husband because then I can focus more on my cancer or my diagnosis. It's that's silly. And I think a lot of times business and building a business gives people the same reinforcement.
And people who give the advice also have a negative label associated with work. So they're saying, oh, work is stressing you out, therefore you should stop it to give yourself rest. And if work was stressing you out, then that would make a stronger case, but they make the assumption that it is. But if you enjoy the work that you do or you find it stimulating or interesting, and you continue to develop skills, you interact with clients, you enjoy that, you might need to adjust how you work, but not necessarily remove everything from your plate. So hopefully that helps. Sorry they're going through it, but we are rooting for you. All right, I'm 21, just graduated and torn between two careers that I love, filmmaking and robotics. That is a wild dichotomy. I believe I could become world-class in either, but dividing my focus could cost me both. How do you decide?
Sorry.
How do you decide?
My God. It's just thinking a lot. My bladder.
Layla's pregnant.
I think for myself, when I'm making a decision like that, I think about a couple things, which is what I anchor to at least. So this is just what helps me. I'm not even saying it's good advice. I look at my life and I look at the conditions that make me happy. And it's the things that make me happy are usually doing something I love with people I love and something that I'm substantially challenged in. If that's either of those things, then I don't really know if you have a wrong answer. I would say that the question that we don't, or the frame that we would need to answer this or help you more is, what are your goals? You could become world-class, but are you trying to make money? Are you trying to build a business? Are you trying to have a certain type of career? And so I would say, what are your career goals? Why even go into filmmaking or robotics? Are you somebody who's trying to have a lifestyle business? Are you trying to build a generational business?
Do you want to be a technician?
Right.
Because reality is that in either of those businesses, if you start a business, then you'll be doing business for the majority of your day, not filmmaking or robotics.
Yeah.
And so then you have to analyze which business opportunity you want to get into. For example, I was really into fitness, but as soon as I started my gym, fitness was a very small percentage of the time that I actually did. And so business was the majority of what I spent my time doing. And so we have this fallacy that if you do the thing that you love, you'll never work another day in your life. But the reality is that the actual day-to-day is you're very rarely doing the thing that you actually love. You're doing all the supporting overhead so that 4 or 5% of your time you can do something that you quote love. Which then when you think 95 versus 5, you're like, you know what, I might as well just build a business that I really like.
I will say one thing though, which is I think if you like the customers you serve, I think that's important because when you build the business, yes, you'll be in business no matter what, but if you don't like the customers you serve, that's really tough. And I think that's something that we think a lot about when we start businesses is do we like the customers that we're serving?
Very, very.
So that being said, you have to anchor to your goals. You'll be good at either one of these. You'll probably have a great life either way. There's probably a low risk in this choice. It's just a matter of, okay, what are my goals? And is there one that's more aligned with those career goals than the other?
So I'll give you a different frame on your question, which is I have my last meal. It's the death row last meal question. Should I have steak and potatoes or should I have a pizza as my last meal? You'll probably be full either way and you'll probably like either of them. But what actually guarantees you not doing either is not deciding. And so I'd say the core skill that you have to have is, and you're getting older, right? And one of the marks of getting older is trading in options, is that you commit, you make decisions, that you eliminate alternatives. And so that is a sign of maturity, is that you're willing to forego some things that you might like for something that you might like more. And if you still are not sure, you just have to decide either way, because you know that you have a guaranteed 0 if you don't make a choice. And I promise you, in retrospect, you will probably, what's it called? You will retroactively you will justify the decision that it was the right call in either of the paths that you choose.
Yeah. I think it's more about like in anything in life, it's like bet on the jockey, not the horse.
Yeah, bet
so
on
like
you.
You're betting on you. So in either of these situations, you're you. So you'll win in either one.
Also, Elon started in Zip2 recruiting, then he got into payments and banking, and then he got into solar panels and cars. And so it's very likely that you'll live multiple lives throughout your entrepreneurial career. And so there's nothing to say that you can't do filmmaking second, or you can't do robotics second. And there's also a likelihood that you leaning really into robotics, you might be able to capture it better with some of your filmmaking skills. Or if you do filmmaking stuff, that you will be better at some of the, I don't know what robotics components are in filmmaking, maybe the technical components, right? And so like there's still gonna be carryover. Like I started as a writer, and then I learned sales, and then copywriting happened, right? And so like these things are additive, they're not necessarily completely siloed. There's lots of crossover, and that's where a lot of magic happens, and where you get very like 1 of 0 talent that makes you more unique. All right, how can I overcome procrastination? Even if I get myself sorted and put in the effort, the moment I get close to results, I can feel my bad habits coming back. Yeah, Layla.
Oh, me?
The bad habits are returning. The return of the bad habits.
Not a procrastinator. However, I think there's 3 reasons that people tend to procrastinate. Anxiety, which is the task that you need to do makes you anxious, and so you avoid doing it. Boredom, the task is not stimulating enough, so when you think about doing it, there's always something that's more exciting or more stimulating. And rebelliousness, which is somebody else has asked you to do the task, and because of that, or because of some deadline somebody else put on you, whatever, you would like to say fuck it to the man and not do the thing. All of those things, I think, are solved in the same way, which is frustration tolerance, which is most of the time when somebody is procrastinating something, it's because they're not good at, you could say, or not practiced at, tolerating the feelings of boredom, anxiety, or frustration in general. And so that is why a lot of people end up procrastinating something, because they don't want to feel the feelings that will occur when they do the work on the thing. So I think it's good to know which of those you tend to lean into. Like I would say if there's anything that would ever be for me, in my past, it would probably be more of anxiety. I would say now it'd probably be more boredom of just like, that's just not stimulating. I don't feel like doing it. And then the next piece to it is like, okay, if I continue procrastinating this thing, right, then you're obviously going to keep reinforcing those habits. So how do I raise my frustration tolerance? Well, the only way to do that is to decrease your sensitivity in the situation, which is to increase your surface area of exposure to the situation, which is to do the thing.
Do more shit.
So the best way that I like to tell people to do that is to just create goals that are incremental of how long you spend doing the thing that you're avoiding or procrastinating. So maybe it's like I procrastinate by, I'll start doing the thing and then I start doing something else. Okay, well, let's just do the thing for 40 minutes, then 45, then 50, then 60, whatever it might need to be. The second thing you could do is say you continue to put something off until the last minute. It's also a common one. Okay, well, it typically is that you wait until a day before the thing. It's like, could we do 3 days before the thing, 4 days before the thing, a week before the thing? So, like, even with myself, I have things that I don't like to do that are good for me. I have plenty of things right now that I am doing that are not fun, but they are good for me. Like, say, physical therapy exercises so that I'm not in pain all the time because I'm pregnant. The first day I did those, it's like, okay, I don't want to fucking do this. It's like, I'm just going to do it for 10 minutes. And it's like, okay, I'm going to do it now the next day for 15 minutes. And then the next day I'm going to say, I'm going to do 1 set of each. I give myself small goals because it's almost like building up a tolerance. It's like a muscle. And so if you have atrophied that muscle, you don't just go and bench 300 pounds the next day. It's like we're going to bench 150, then 160, then 165, then 170. So these are just emotional muscles, or I would say like soft skill muscles, and I think you have to train them in one way or the other.
I think something that I've learned a lot from Layla is that she's able to recognize emotional discomfort and act despite it, meaning we do not need to change our plan. And this is where like fuck your mood, follow the plan really came from, which is like how you feel and what you do not need to have any correlation to one another. And so the more you can act in an uncorrelated way to your emotive state, the more likely you will stick with things for extended periods of time past the points of emotional volatility, which ultimately gets you to your goal faster. And so you feel uncomfortable and you feel because of that discomfort, you must change something. But the fact that you are uncomfortable is why you should persist.
And here's what's really interesting is that a lot of the time people think, well, I feel this way or I think this thing, therefore I don't want to do this thing. Well, you can either say, okay, that means that I have to wait until I feel or think differently to do the thing. Or what I know is that doing the thing actually changes how you think and feel. So if you start to do the thing, what you'll find is that if you've been procrastinating is 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, suddenly you feel like doing the thing. Suddenly it doesn't give you so much anxiety. Suddenly, because your body is teaching your brain the same way your brain teaches your body. So it's a two-way system. It can work either way. So it's like whatever one you got, use that. For me, it's easier for me to take action. Most of the time, I'm not as good at changing my mind about something. Oh, this is an interesting one.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm 22. My girlfriend is annoyed that I'm working so much. It's making me feel like I have to choose between my business and her. What's the trick to make them both coexist?
Kill one of them. The business. I think like I don't know if there's
What's
a
the
trick. Yeah, I don't know if there's a trick. So I'll say like two different frames on this. So one is there's a selection thing, which is like I found someone who, when I started our relationship, I was like, I work all the time and you have to be cool with that. And then it turned out Layla was like, well, I have to work a lot too. And I was like, well, maybe we can work together. And that's what basically started our journey together. I'm not saying that's right for everyone. I'm saying that was right for us. The other side of it is basically making agreements. Like this will be a perpetual problem for you. So it is unlikely that you will solve it. And this is from Gottman, the relationship people. 69% of problems in relationships are perpetual. They are unsolvable, meaning there are two different preferences that sit in contrast to one another. And so you might have a minimum amount of work that is required. And I'll actually give you one from Sam Ovens from school that he has currently with his wife. She obviously wants him to be home because she loves him and they have kids and all that. He also knows that he needs to work 12 hours per day to get school to be the #1 platform in the world for communities. And so the way they reconciled that was for her, she's like, I really want you to be home for dinner every night. And so dinner is 6 o'clock. And so 6 onwards, he's at home, he's having dinner with the kids, etc. And so their agreement is functionally, as long as he's home at 6 and he's completely present during that time period and he takes off Sundays, they're fine. And so he works from 6 to 6 and then takes evenings off, and then on Sunday he's fully there with the kids, and I think every 12 weeks they take a vacation together. And so that is their agreement. And so I think you just have to come to an agreement, and then once you make the agreement, you both stick to those terms. If you cannot come to an agreement that is a compromise that meets both of your minimum requirements, then it might mean that your goals are misaligned and it might not make sense long term.
I thought you were giving us some tricks.
That was a trick. What do you mean trick? And
Silver bullet.
yeah, buy her some shit.
That always does work.
Yeah, with all that money you making it work.
It does work. I don't know. Like, that's actually a thing, though. Is like, I think men don't like to be bought things. Women do like to be bought things. It always works.
So maybe if you go over by a certain amount, you can purchase things as almost like paying for your overtime. So then it gets into the question of like, how much am I making in my overtime versus my cost per gift for excuse? And so then you're like in a ratio of like, okay, if I work 10 hours over, I might make an extra $5,000. I can buy a $500 gift. $500 gift, you're still getting 10 to 1 on the time. Arbitrage, bro. Leverage. Mahmoud, Khatib, Layla. I'm 39, married with 3 kids, working full-time while launching an AI SaaS with a technical partner, no revenue yet. I have no bandwidth and I'm holding the business back. When would you quit your job?
That's a question that's really personal because you have to understand like what is going to, because if you're working in this business, especially in the beginning, if your head's not in the game, is your head going to be less in the game when you don't have the job, or is it going to be less in the game when you do have the job? And that's really only something that you can answer, because I think it's difficult to know how people are going to act. Like, I've seen some people, like, I'm the type of person that I have to go all in. I need to cut off the job, and I trust myself, so it doesn't scare me. I will go through all the worst case scenarios, and I'm like, here's all the things that I would do if the business doesn't make money, but I've quit my job. And then I just kind of think that through before I make the decision. Some people, I've given that advice, and then they get really fucking nervous and freak out and, like, burn the business down. So I have reneged on that advice and say, like, you have to do what works for you. If you're going to be really freaked out and anxious and sabotage the business if you quit your job, then it's like, maybe wait a little longer until you have a certain amount of money. I will say this, which is like, I think in general, being in the situation you're in, when you're married, you have 3 kids, you have a job, you're also launching a new business, you're going to feel like you don't have any bandwidth even once you get rid of the business, because you have so much other stuff in your life. It's going to continue to fill the space. I think it's more of an emotional question than it is a logical question, which is just like, what do you have to do to get to a point where you can actually give majority of your attention to the business? I would say that in general, if you were asking me what I would do, I would say that once the business has proven that it produces revenue, I would feel okay quitting my job if I knew that I could get customers and continue to sell them more products. If I did not have revenue in the business and people were not buying the thing I was selling, I would definitely not feel comfortable quitting my job.
So this is what I'll tactically add this on, which is that you are working a job and you have a family. My ask would be that you block 2 hours a day to work on the new business. And in that 2 hours, you need to go generate revenue. And if you cannot generate revenue in 2 hours per day times 5, so 10 hours a week, you're not going to generate it with 40. So generate the revenue, prove that you can do it on a limited amount of time, and then you can do the math on, well, if I had all my time, or 4 times the time, 5 times the time, I'd be able to 5x or more the amount of revenue they're able to generate. So prove that you can get $1 across the bridge for this new business before you're going to go all in. That would be my rec.
They can't fire you if you're unemployed, if you will understand. What?
Clutchman 2025.
I think that's called ghosting and pussying out, but whatever. When somebody quits because they know they're about to be fired, I'm like, fucking pussy. Anyways, sorry.
So
not supposed to say that.
We'll find out what Layla really thinks after the commercial break.
And let's cut that one.
All right, Win0622. Hi, Layla and Alex. Why do I suck? I'm a lash salon owner with 1 employee and filled our bookings. No more space to bring more employees and customers. I don't know if it's a location expansion or a price issue. I'm guessing when you say suck means that you're not making money, which I find hard to believe. But if you are fully booked, you and your employee at a location, and you're not making money, then you should absolutely increase price. Now, when you have a supply demand, like when you have 0 supply left, which is what booked out means, right? Then that means you have more demand than you have supply, which means price goes up. That is what happens.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who was an avid customer of this type of business for many years, I don't think this is one where you're like, yeah, let's get a larger location and try and get more employees and more customers. Like, it is very difficult to find, retain, and pay really, really good lash techs. And if this is your first business, that sounds hard. So like, I would rather
You got lashes done? Those aren't natural?
Nothing is natural on this. About as natural as a can of Diet Coke. So I think in general, go towards the price increase, continue to increase your prices, increase your skill set so you're constantly on the edge of like all the new lash techniques that everyone's figuring out, and focus on yourself and that 1 employee until you have enough profit and revenue that you can take days off and not worry about it. You can be selective with your customers. Like, you have to get to a point of excess before you say, I want to expand again. And that's a tough business to expand. We've talked to a lot of people. There's a reason there's not a lot of like enormous chains that are highly talented. There's like a lot of run-of-the-mill, you know, I don't know what I like to call them, but like they're just like kind of shitty lash chains. Because again, it's just hard to expand if you want to keep that quality. So yeah, increase your prices, get to a point where you can be selective.
And have a talent strategy. And so you will need to have higher prices so that you can have higher cash flow, so that you can pay better people so that you can get better techs, which is what's going to ultimately be the thing that you sell, which is the product, which is the quality of the service. And so we had a chain that we almost looked at buying that was, it was actually nails, but same concept. And one of the things that made the business really interesting is that they had a very, very developed career path for their technicians. And in so doing, they were able to retain them significantly longer than the industry average. And as a result, because they retained them better, they were more skilled. And so they were able to fill up their salons much faster, almost entirely off word of mouth, because their techs were so good. And so I would encourage you not to go for the lowest priced techs, but go for the highest skilled techs. And whenever you have the highest skilled people, you will always have women, and I guess guys, I don't know if guys do lashes, you have customers who are willing to pay premium for the best.
It's tough.
All right. Bruno Guerrero, 5314. Hi guys, congrats on the baby. I've been connecting more with Layla's content as of late. Okay, great. Love that for you. Dear Layla is sick.
You're
Awesome.
not happy for me?
Yeah, keep going. This was a great comment. Glad you're loving Layla's stuff. Glad you've moved on, and you're resonating more with her content.
You know what is funny though? This is actually really funny. It's like when we're out in public and we see people, like people come up and they'll be like, "Oh my God, what's up, guys?" Blah blah blah. And oftentimes, like if somebody comes up and they're a fan of mine, they'll be like, "Oh, Alex, like love your stuff, but love Layla." Nobody's ever said that to me. They've never been like, "Oh, Layla, good stuff, but love Alex, love Alex." I'm like, you actually make me feel like shit by saying that, by the way, because you make me feel like I am lesser. I know I don't make as much media, okay? I'm like, you don't need to make me feel good by putting him down, being like, fuck your shit. Isn't that interesting, though? Nobody's ever said that to me. They've never been like...
Yeah, I'm actually a much bigger fan of Alex's.
Yeah, nobody's ever said that. But people say that all the time to me. They're like, I'm a way bigger fan of Layla's stuff, actually. And I'm like, that's rude. We are married.
All right, Fun Life 016. How do you become courageous and shameless when you are a coward and shameful? Tough. Well, first off, I'll crack, and then I'm sure Layla will add on a bunch. But I would stop calling yourself that, first and foremost. I would say that you have exhibited behaviors that tend to get that label. So I've acted in a cowardly way. I've acted shamefully. Not that you are a coward or that you are shameful, right? So just big thing number one. Then we have to define what these terms mean, right? And so shame is when you break other people's rules. Guilt is when you break your own rules. And so then it's like, okay, whose rules am I breaking? And why do I care about their rules? What punishment are they inflicting on me that I deem meaningful enough or more meaningful than the punishment I'm inflicting on myself for not achieving what I want? So that's on the shame side. On the coward side, it's that on some level, you are basically not taking action for fear of punishment, right? Now, whether that is call it righteous cowardice versus in some ways you can be cowardly of breaking a traffic law because there is a consequence that you don't deem worth it. And so it's kind of like the shame thing, which is what is the outcome or the consequence of this behavior that you're deeming more important or more painful than the pain that you're currently experiencing? And so I think it's a really common saying, but it's when the pain of change is less than the pain of staying the same is when you change. And so you will flow to the path of least resistance. And so you need to make the path of least resistance the path that you want to take. And then all of a sudden you will feel like you are more courageous and you will have less shame around it because you are taking the easiest path. But you just arranged the conditions so that the easiest path was the best path.
I don't know.
Thanks. You probably like your content better. Does it resonate better with you?
Okay, one more, and then you should take a call.
Okay, I mean we could do one now.
I'm gonna have to go.
Oh, you don't want to take the call?
No, I have to go.
Well, you probably have really important content to get to.
I have to go to a meeting.
All right.
I suspect much of your success was followed by how aligned you and Layla are.
So
were you always so aligned?
The most.
How did you manage to keep that alignment when things were not so clearly successful?
How did we do it?
How did you do?
How did I do it? Dragged her kicking and screaming. How did I do it?
I don't know. I'm pretty easy.
No, you're fine.
Fine?
Yeah, I mean you didn't. Yeah, fine. Mid. Okay, how do we keep alignment? I mean, actually, I don't think we really got out of alignment. I mean, we knew what the goals were, and I think we were both just very dedicated to the process of just continuing to work at it. I think we both had a lot of faith that we would eventually figure it out.
It's also...
We didn't blame. I'll say it's a big one. You've never
We
blamed
don't.
me for a mistake.
No, we don't blame each other. I also think we were very clear about our goals up front, and basically, like, in our business and marriage, like, giving up is not an option. Like, I think both of us have said that many times, and that was just like the building blocks of our relationship and partnership.
I also think both of us take 51% accountability. And so what I mean by that is like, neither of us has to like correct or chastise the other person because the other person is already beating themselves up about the mistake. That's not everyone, but I'm saying for us, that was probably more common. And so a lot of like the more difficult times, it was me beating myself up and Layla being like, it's fine, we're figuring it out. Or the converse, right? Like she was beating herself up and I'm like, no, you crushed that. It was fine. Like we'll get it.
Give each other benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, so it's like round up, you know, give each other grace more than like, you don't need to blame them. And like, I think the worst thing you can ever do is I told you so, right? It's like the person fucking knows. Like and like if you did tell them, they know. And they probably feel terrible about it. And so I would warn against any I told you so type behavior. But like if you're partners, which you are, independent, even if you're not business partners, if you're life partners and one of you's in business, like you want to like support, I define as increasing the likelihood of success, or said conversely, decreasing the likelihood of failure. And so are you actively decreasing the likelihood of failure? And if we define failure as quitting, then like your job is to keep the other person going.
Yeah.
By any means possible, any means necessary.
I think
Encouragement.
we both do a really good job of that.
Yeah.
Like when one of us is down, the other one will lift them up, even if that has to be for a sustained period of time.
And I'm sure there were many times where I like didn't deserve to be lifted up or encouraged, and Layla did it anyway because she probably asked herself, well, how much does this help if I just make him feel worse? Like, does it increase the likelihood that we actually get what we want? Like, I will be right today, but we will lose.
I also just don't see. I'm much more empathetic.
I know
than
you don't
never
think that way.
think that way. But I also think
that way.
it's that's fair. Where's the lesson in that? I also think it's looking at a relationship in the long term, not the short term, which is like they're going to be over the entire length of the partnership or relationship. There are going to be years where one person is pulling more weight than the other. It is not, and that's in only because there are ways where somebody will have something happen. You know, I a year ago had a bunch of health stuff go on, and then now I'm pregnant, and so like there's a lot of things that like I used to do in the relationship I don't do, and like you do more in other ways recently, and we acknowledge that and don't think there's anything wrong with that because we're in it for the long haul. And so it's like then again, you know, a year or 2 years from now I'll probably step up and be doing more in a different way. So it's just also I think patience. Like if you want to be in a relationship or a partnership indefinitely, then like you can't look at things on a month or even like a yearly time horizon at times. It's like I think we say it all the time. We're like, I'm in it for the long haul. Like,
I'm reading one of the comments and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to sound mean, but I want it to resonate. And you're anonymous, so no one knows it's you that I'm saying this to. But you said, there's no such girls where I live. I will add on to that are attracted to you. There absolutely are girls where you live that are high quality girls. You just have to be eligible. Like, you have to qualify. You have to meet the requirements. A girl like that has a lot of options. And so you need to be the best option, which means that you have to work on you. You got to get better, got to get in shape, make some money, be a nice person, be interesting, have other stuff going on. Like those, like that is what a, top tier girl will find interesting. And I'll also add something that Layla said. I heard you say it on a live, but I thought it was really good, which is like,
oh, you watch my content.
Well, I mean, I like it better than my content. You said this thing, I think, to a girl who called in and was like, should I settle, blah, 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 blah. And you said, you guys are looking at Alex and I, this is me talking as you, as we are today, and think that is who we were when we met.
Yeah.
And that is not true. And so if you take the position that you are both going to get better, then the relationship hopefully should also get better too. But both of you guys are going to grow. And so to look at, someone's chapter 10 versus your chapter 1, it's not a good trade. And if you wait for somebody who's at chapter 10 and completely, dialed in all these different arenas, guess what you're not going to be able to have? The story of the fact that like Layla and I met when I had nothing and I got to lose everything with her, and multiple times. And we have the story of overcoming that. And so when you meet in your imperfections, you give yourselves the opportunity for a more meaningful story. And I never have to doubt, is Layla just here for the money? Is Layla just here because I'm so incredibly good looking? Is Layla just here for, insert reason? Because the thing is that when we met, I didn't have those things. And not only that, I also actively failed and moved backwards, I would say, in status for the first probably year or two of us dating before moving forward. And so you can have some confidence that the person, at least as a guy, you want a girl who believes in you and bets and sees in your potential and is like, I'm willing to make this bet. And for me, looking at Layla, is like, I just wanted someone who was loyal and would go through thick and thin with me, and she has. And so you don't get the opportunity to see any of those things if you have perfect conditions or you are at your quote finish line. And so I think that I would look for somebody who has potential more than actual, because if you're starting out too, you probably can't attract actual. You have potential that's not actualized, and they have potential that's not actualized, and both of you make a bet that the person is growth oriented. And that's why it's like, do you have aligned goals? Do we have aligned values? Like how we want to get there, right? Do we want to go to the same place? Do we want to get there the same way?
I also think there's
and we're not fucking relationship experts. I'm just saying what worked for us.
No. But I do think there's something that's interesting that I've noticed has continued to evolve over time, which is like people are have incredibly high expectations of the people that they are dating, meeting, etc. Like to the degree that it's almost impossible to win. It's like I can't tell you how many girls tell me, they're like, well, I went on a date with this guy, and it's like every guy there's something wrong, and I'm like, have you ever thought there's something wrong here? And it's the reality is that everybody has something wrong with them. You also have something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with me.
Well, seriously, I mean, like, I think there's also like there's no person that you're going to meet and be like, I have literally zero doubt in the world, and at every point in time, I am so incredibly happy to be in a relationship with them, and I've never desired to be single. I'm sure there's been plenty of times you've thought about being single. So many that I have.
All the time, so much. Constantly. It's the only thought I really...
But you look at it and you say, I've made a trade-off, and I would make that trade again. And does that not mean that I could see another life with another person or another this or somebody who didn't have this issue or this? Of course. But it's just a matter of what you want in life. And do you want to be in a relationship? Or do you want to be right and have the perfect person? Or do you want to be in a relationship? Because you're never going to have the perfect person, and you're never going to be right about everything. So I would also just say, like, it sounds contrary, but like you have to lower your standards a little bit in the sense of like there's this illusion now with social media that everybody is perfect and nobody has flaws, and it's like we have plenty of flaws and imperfections, and we talk about them with each other all the time, and we're open about it, which I think is why it's okay.
Do we have imperfect?
Yes. And it's an open dialogue between us versus something that we hide and don't talk about.
I'm always giving Layla feedback. That's
So
what I'm here for.
Be fucking emotionally avoidant.
So,
Anyways,
I'll add this one point in, which is
Will you?
Yeah, I will. Just a little piggyback.
Yeah.
Just a little sprinkle on top. Just make it. Just put the gravy on the biscuits, if you will.
I wasn't done.
Yeah, this is a good point though. Yeah. What I would say is that I think you're also trying to find 10 different people in one, right? Yeah. Which is the analogy that I give is like you want to have the perfect house, and that house is by the beach. It's also in the mountains. It's also walking distance from a mall. It also has room for entire family and entertainment, but it's also small and cozy. Like you will not have a house that has all of those things. And to the same degree, you will not find a person that is incredibly consistent, but also loves variety, and also is your therapist and your coach and a good provider and amazing in bed and also super romantic and wants to write you poems. Like you're not going to have all those things, just like you're not going to find a house that has every single view. You will make a trade, and you will be just as happy in a house on the beach and at the mountain, knowing what you're missing and accepting that that was the trade that you were willing to make because you wanted to have a home.
That's good. And later I'm going to ask you which house I am, because I would like to know.
The best house.
Am I a beach?
The best house.
That was the right answer.
The best house.
With that,
huge.
I will leave you to your live callers. Huge. What? I am a planet. Jesus Christ. I never say that again.
And with that, we have our next caller. we've got some A's for some Q's. So bring on the Q's. And that's not the way you leave this room. All right, Layla's trying to leave because she makes so much content she even know the exit.
This is my studio.
All right, Mr. Gong, who do we got?
Alexander, you're up.
I know I'm up. Who else is up?
Our caller's name is also Alexander.
I figured. I was making it funny.
Alexander, are you here?
Alexander was like, fuck this shit. He was like, the house analogy got him. He was like, nope, no thank you.
All right, Ava's going to be up next.
Ava, the legend. So Ava's the oldest client we have at the ripe age of 20. I think. What else we got? All right, I'll answer another question while we wait for whoever to pick up their phone. Okay, we did okay, brutal question. Do you agree with the love of money is the root of all evil? Yes, I think it's biblical. Love of money is the root of all evil. I think fundamentally the point of this statement is that if you sacrifice the things that matter for money, you have lost the plot. But the love of money, yes. Because there's another version of it that's like, when you look, I think it's I can't remember if it's the Aramaic or the Hebrew, whatever the original translation is kind of interesting if you look it up because there's different ways of translating it. But yeah, I think loving money is probably not the best play. And whether it's the root of all evil, I believe ignorance is the root of all evil. That's my perspective. It's also Socrates' perspective. But that's my 2 cents. So is it the root? I don't know, because in a moneyless society, is there still evil? I would probably say yes. And so I would bet that ignorance is the root of that. Like when we slight other people, it's because we do not have complete context on their situation. I think the reason that a God figure is so valuable to us is because the dream or fantasy of having someone who completely understands us, has complete context on our situation, understands our intentions rather than our outputs or outcomes, is incredibly satisfying. So let's move to something lighter like meta ads. Meta ads didn't ruin me. I did, okay? I built a one product business on 2 years of strong meta results. Then Andromeda changed everything. How would you recover, diversify, and rebuild the business now? Dude, I think they just changed the algorithm so that it favored more diverse creative. I know a lot of people who Andromeda has only helped. I would say the majority of our businesses improved with Andromeda. The only downside was that we had to have significantly more creative that needed to get made. But I mean, that type of winning strategy of volume is one that I am very well set up to do. And so I think you just needed to do more and not say that it ruined you. You just had ads that didn't work because you didn't change your strategies. You just have to, change your strategy because the conditions changed. I just wouldn't catastrophize it. It's just like, it's not like ads stop working. Ads still work, I promise you. You just need to change your ad strategy. I'm 25 with a relatively successful business. What can I do about apathy? I want to do more than I am now, but I feel no urgency until I manufacture. Can you scroll up, Rick? Until I manufacture a real condition to force action. Yeah, I think that you're on the right path. Once you satisfy your personal needs, you have to have something bigger. And so the something bigger can either be something you're running away from or something you're running towards. If the thing you were running away from was poverty, then that need was satisfied. And so either you run towards kind of the mission you have behind the business, which is why many people talk who have very big businesses about the mission because that's what motivates them. I would also say that many people that I met who have larger businesses that I would say have more boring businesses that don't have some like incredibly charismatic mission, they really care about their teams. And so they care about providing career opportunities and growth opportunities for the people that work for them. And that can become incredibly motivating. On top of that, you can think about it from a citizenship and community perspective, like what impact are we making as a result? And so those are, I would say, the very like time-tested ways of solving it. But if you want a kick in the ass, so to say, I think you need to make a big bet. And so basically you've gotten to the point where you're playing blackjack at a table with $10 hands and you are a millionaire and $10 hands make no difference in your life. And so you have to up the ante in order for the game to still stay stimulating. All right, Ava. Eva or Ava?
Hi, my name is Eva.
Hey, Ava, what's up?
I appreciate this opportunity. I run a Hungarian online membership and digital products business. Last year, we did $1 million in revenue. Goal revenue is $3 million. What's stopping me? Low net profit, low lifetime value, lack of focus, and not enough launches. And I provide you some data. 84% gross margin, 7% net profit. Worst and best LTV to CAC is 5-1, or we can do 80-1 as well. LTV is $320. In my membership, the churn is 7% average, but in the first months, 14%. We have 80,000 people email opt-ins. They are active on my list, and 1,500 members in my membership. How to improve LTV and triple net profit? What to focus on, in your opinion? Thank you.
So you said you had a focus issue and you're not doing enough launches.
Yes.
My initial thought would be remove the things that are distracting you and do more launches. So what stops you from doing that?
I removed it. Yeah, thank you. And I removed it already, so now I start to focus on.
Yeah. If you have a digital products membership, the churn on those types of products are typically higher. And so I think that you will probably waste a lot of time trying to get it lower. If you're at 7%, you're doing okay for digital. Like, the incremental return that you're going to get, I mean, you can make sure that you have good onboarding, make sure that it's consumable value, meaning that the value that you give to them on a monthly basis is something that they can consume rather than they learn once. And so if you have a one-time learning thing, then you need to deliver it every month. Or it's something that is consumable in nature. So like if we did market signals for trading, or hot niches if we're buying real estate, if we said trending t-shirt designs, if we showed people how to like make t-shirts, like whatever is trending, anything that's news for that for the audience that you have, like sticker templates, like there's always something that's consumable. It's typically lower value than the upfront education they're going to receive. So all that to say, I don't think the churn that you have is the issue. I'm going to bet that it is the distraction problem and doing more of the what works issue, because when you're at 1 to 3 where you're at right now, it's usually a very limited resources, and you need to very much focus those on the one things that are making the most money, which is probably running ads and doing launches.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and so like everything that's not that is probably taking away, and just streamline the delivery so that you can, like, one of the things that's a big misconception or mistake I think that happens, especially with digital products and memberships, is that people try to put too much in them. Right? And they think, oh, I'm going to solve this by more, but you don't solve it by making more, you solve it by making better and fewer. Because you have to think about value per second. If you make 10 things and people only consume one, even if it's good, they think they're only consuming 1/10 of the value. And so you want to make it as easy as possible for them to consume all of the digital assets that you give them, and just make sure that when they consume it, it's as good as possible. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
So on the delivery side, think better, not more. And on the front end side, think more ads, more launches. And anything that is not both of those two things, I would ignore.
Okay, thank you. I will do that.
All right. Eva, appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. That was an easy one. Light work. Light work. All right. I think I'm coming up on, I'm getting close to lunch. Feels like it's getting close to lunchtime. It is getting close to lunchtime. All right, so I'm gonna do 1 or 2 more. And then we're going to wrap this beat. All right, so final and best question of the day, at Alex Hormozi. How would you advertise screws and fasteners? It's a commodity product. Can't even see it once it's installed. Lots of good, high quality product, difficult to stand out. Really, really good question, man. So there are 2 kind of strategies that you can employ to decommoditize a commoditized product. One is we have to think about all the other facets of the product. So if you think about a car gets you from point A to point B, but there's still tons of differentiation within cars. Now, there's luxury vehicles, there's status. I'm not to say that's the same thing with fasteners, because people don't see it, and it's probably more of a utility. That being said, you have service quality, you have speed of delivery, you have what percentage meets qualifications, so that's kind of a quality metric. And so we have to look at the other variables, like the actual purchasing process. So think about swallowing up the entirety of the customer experience, and think what happens before, during, and after someone makes a purchase from me. How can I make that as easy and seamless as possible? So sometimes it's expanding the scope. so that you can have differentiators that are outside of the core product that still, in a very real way, deliver value. And so it's basically getting out of the micro of this local transaction and thinking about the macro of the business or customer that's buying it, right? And so if we can frame the purchase from you as even though it's locally more expensive, it is globally cheaper to purchase from you, and that they get it faster, they have fewer mistakes, etc., then you can have a commodity product that becomes decommoditized through the additional kind of layers of service and value that you provide around it. That's thing one. The other thing is just the brand associated with it, right? Which is, what are the associations and pairings that we do on an active basis so that people, like, for example, the reason that sometimes these types of businesses are relationship driven is that the person that they'd rather buy from, they like that salesperson, so that person's reputation and brand kind of confers over to the product. And so we have to think, what kind of brand allows us to charge a premium for what is otherwise considered a commodity. And so those are the two elements of basically increasing the premium: the brand itself, right, and the associated elements of the offer or product or deliverable. And so those are the levers that you have at your disposal. The brand will take time. The other ones you can do more immediately. And thinking and reframing the sale from local, short-term, to global, long-term, or the holistic view of the business and the customer experience. That was a thorough answer. All right, with that being said, this is our third day of our experiment of 30 Days of Lives. Stay real, stay awesome, stay hard. Or hot. No, stay hard is Dave Goggins' thing. Stay hot. There you go. Or is that a Paris Hilton thing? Just stay. Stay. I don't like that either. Then you gotta grow. How about this? Improve. How about that? We'll do that. And with that, have an amazing day. Bye.